We have a lot of disabled comrades, and a lot of those are invisible disabilities. Don't really talk to anybody. Don't talk to cops. Don't talk to MAGA assholes. And if you do see someone talking to cops, let the marshals know.
Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Point of personal privilege. Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Quick point of privilege once again. Hi, James Jackson, Sacramento DSA, he, him. I have already asked people to be mindful of the chatter of their comrades. It is also triggering to my anxiety.
The leaders of the revolution, everyone. The leaders of the revolution. My name is Bill, and this is All Minus One. Thanks for joining us. Today, we will have our featured guest, the first time I've ever done this on this channel, Aydin Paladin. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So I don't really normally do this. Zach Horton says I'm late and gay, as per custom. Of course.
Actually, send me a link. I don't know if you did, because I'll tweet it out. I forgot.
I sent you.
Oh, did you? You did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. Also, in the in my YouTube description, there is an entropy link. If you guys want to go over there and watch over there or participate in spicy chat, of course, you can also donate over there if you wish. There's a subscribe star in the link and whatever else, but let's get into topics, guys. Let's not hem-haw around too much. So I asked Aydin to be on here because she has a great deal of academic expertise. She reads papers quite regularly. She's made several videos on CRT. And one of the things that I've been finding with CRT is the apologists are making genetic fallacies based on the origins of CRT versus what it's morphed into today. So we can start there, Aydin, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. I would say first and foremost, what everyone has to understand about CRT and why it is so frustrating, because I see everyone on the internet having these discussions about they're like, here's the CRT scholar. And then the CRT proponents say, no, they're not really a CRT scholar. And you have to understand that we're dealing with people that, and CRT as a theory is a subjectivist theory. It is not an objectivist theory. They don't believe that any of this can be measured. They don't believe any of it can be quantified. This is critical cultural. It's not even qualitative. It's critical cultural subjectivist theory. And that means that it is up to interpretation by the individual. So they may say, no, you have to cite the scholars. You have to cite the scholars. Yes, but who is the scholar is dependent, and what the scholar meant is all dependent on personal perception. So that's where we get into these kinds of fallacies of where does this originate? What is the definitive literature? A big deal was the Smithsonian.
Smithsonian anti-white thing.
Yes. So that specifically came from a foundational CRT scholar. Those quotes were from a foundational CRT scholar, and it was published in 1985. I can't try to remember which one it was now. Actually, I will have it here in my other notes. But those were direct quotes from one of the founders of CRT. So when they come back with this kind of well, that's not real CRT. So well, then what is? And that is kind of the benefit, right? When you have a constantly moving definitional ideology or belief system, in that, well, if it's constantly moving, you can never be proved wrong.
Yeah. You're always shifting the goalpost. It's the Overton window moving, all of those things that those that are basically not liberty-minded tend to often do, or at least they're perceived as doing. For me, it's an emotional argument. Everything, we can get into the logical, technical side of anything, right? We can decide this is the reality. These are how these things actually work, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter if the emotional appeals are perceived by the general public in a certain way. So one of the big emotional appeals that is being perceived right now is that all of this is anti-whiteness, right? That it's against white or Caucasian or European people, whatever way you wish to put it. Now, I would agree with that. Do I understand that CRT is anti-everybody? Yes, I understand that too. but it is targeted very much at one particular class. And I've said this for many years that it's very reminiscent of the kind of propaganda that came out of Nazi Germany towards the Jews. Now, does that mean that we're going to be going away to concentration camps or anything like that? I'm not necessarily saying that, but what I am saying is that it's a scapegoat of a ethnic group or ethnic groups of some sort of racial stereotype. It's a scapegoat in order to blame the failings of society specifically on one group of people. And that's never, ever good. I don't care if it's the perceived majority or the minority or whatever it is. It's just not good.
I agree completely. It is, whenever you put people into boxes, it's not a good thing. Stereotypes can be useful for some things, like, stereotypes not just against people, but stereotypes against things. They're called cognitive heuristics. Otherwise, I just got into an argument about this last night. but they can be useful in some ways. But the main thing is that we don't judge individuals. But what CRT does is it does judge individuals based on the color of their skin. And I do want to point out too, because I pulled it up real quick. On that Smithsonian chart, so people don't know, the Smithsonian put out this big chart last year.
Share it real quick, Aydin. Go ahead.
I don't have the chart, but
okay,
you can find it real quick if you just type in Smithsonian race or CRT chart. It has really ridiculous things like whiteness is being on time and having a job and working hard and having values. Essentially, it's very messed up, and I couldn't remember who that was, but it's actually who was responsible for that, because when that came out, a lot of people who are proponents of CRT, or who at least won't denounce it, right? They said, "Oh, like Vosh." He said this. He said, "Like, what? Some grad student wrote that."
He's known as Voldemort here.
Okay, so Voldemort, blew that off as being stupid, and it's some grad student. That was Dr. Judith H. Katz. She is one of the foundational scholars in critical race theory. I will read from her CV real quickly. Judith has been widely recognized for her extensive contributions. She was named a pioneer of diversity by Profiles of Diversity Journal in 2007, a legend of diversity by the International Society of Diversity and Inclusion Professionals in 2012. In 2014, Judith received the Organizational Development Network's Lifetime Achievement Award. So this person, and it goes on, there's like 6 more sentences about how all of her awards. And she is a foundational CRT scholar, and she was the person who wrote that bizarre Smithsonian placard, or whatever you want to call it. And it came out of a publication that she published in 1985 that is The Components of White Culture. And that includes, here's what being white is: rugged individualism, competition, an action orientation, which is wanting to do actions, decision-making, communication, time, holidays, history, Protestant work ethic, progress and future orientation, emphasis on the scientific method. Of course, that one personally triggers me. Status and power, family structure, aesthetics, which is things like music and art, and religion, which, if you didn't know, she kind of said religion twice, but those are the things that she considers to be whiteness. So if you're a Black or brown or Asian person and you value those things, then you are engaging in whiteness, is essentially what Judith is arguing. So that's foundational CRT research.
Yeah, and what's obvious, there's a comment here from our friend Holly in the chat. What's obvious is that it's all used from a Marxist lens to basically stir up people and to subvert.
Yes.
And the thing is this isn't the only tool that they have. They have all these different tools. They have, of course, the third wave feminist movement, the intersectionalists, you have the postmodernists, and they're constantly shifting, as you mentioned before, the goalposts, the Overton window, and they're going, oh, no, it's not this. And then they do the little switcheroo and it's a new thing, right? There's a new thing. So they're,
it's all praxis.
Yeah.
Even their engagement in it and shifting the goalposts, it's all part of the praxis of it.
But here's the thing is, no matter what, if you boil things down to their first principles, it's all the same. And yeah. I think most people see that commonly. I want to play a clip real quick. This is from the David Knight show this morning. I couldn't find this clip elsewhere, but I happened to catch it this morning. And I want to play this because in a second he's going to play this guy. He's talking about Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird and how it had been looked at being banned several times in schools over, the course of history. And he's looking at that, and then he brings up a guy who is a black gentleman, but he's talking to the school boards about CRT. And again, there's this whole debate now with people like Joy Reid and whomever else who's in the mainstream saying, "Hey, we're not teaching this in school," or as one person said that you were on Adam and Sitch's show. Well, that's critical race praxis. That's not critical race theory, or that's critical race pedagogy, not critical race theory. And again, I don't think that distinction matters except for if you're an academic, because to the average person, it's all a matter of the metaphysics. What it comes down to, the emotional appeals. In any case, I'm just going to play this.
You had a lot of leftist press going out there talking about.
Could you turn it up a little bit?
Sure.
He said, what to the slave is the 4th of July? And in it, he didn't criticize the founders as being white saviors or anything like that. No. He said, he talked about how courageous.
That's as loud as it goes. Is it really quiet?
Yeah, it's very hard to hear, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I don't really know. It's on a Chrome tab.
Yeah.
It's running through DLive. So in any case, he's going to talk for about a minute. Sorry, guys, if it's quiet.
If you could reiterate afterwards, that would probably help.
Right. The main thing is this video.
For me and the chat, yeah.
Yeah, this video that he's about to play, I want you to see. And I don't know where he got it from, is all I'm saying. I looked for it. But again, I just caught this today. But this guy makes a good, quick, eloquent point about what CRT is.
In terms of standing up for individual liberty. The bottom line was, he said, but why wouldn't you include us in that? And if you look at what Frederick Douglass was saying in that essay, it was essentially the same thing that Harper Lee, the same point she was making in To Kill a Mockingbird. Why wouldn't you treat everybody the same, regardless of their skin color? He didn't want to tear down the Declaration of Independence. Frederick Douglass didn't. He didn't want to tear it down. He didn't want to destroy it. He didn't denigrate the founders. No. He elevated it. He embraced the standard and said, it should apply to everybody. Your own document says all men are created equal, right? So it should apply to everybody.
So if you guys couldn't hear, he's talking about Frederick Douglass's appeal that all men are to be created equal, or were created equal in the Declaration of Independence, should be applied to both blacks and whites. Now, originally Douglass did not believe that the Declaration was a document of freedom or the Constitution, and he changed his mind over time. And then he's making the point about Harper Lee, and then here he's about to play this video. So Harper Lee, the writer of To Kill a Mockingbird, was making the same point, that these rules should apply to everybody.
But if we can't have a white savior, and I got to say, the first time I heard that phrase was when Karen and my daughter went to a Planned Parenthood clinic here in Austin. They had signs that said, "Stop Black Genocide," because most of the abortions are black. And the Planned Parenthood does. That's where they put the abortion clinics. From the very beginning, they were open about it. Margaret Sanger was open about the fact that she wanted to reduce.
Oh, that sounds much better now.
She was an open eugenicist.
Okay, good.
And she thought that blacks ought to be reduced. So she targeted them. It is a policy of black genocide. And they have just recently started to move back against Margaret Sanger. But this is 6 or 7 years ago. And you had the local Antifa people showed up. And because it got some attention on the press, and so they had Antifa show up. First time I'd seen Antifa either. And they came out and accused my wife of being a white savior. I was like, well, I am white. I'm trying to save babies, so whatever. I don't care. Of course, they tried to spit on my daughter when they were driving away in the car after being there for a while. They ran up to the car and passenger side where the window was rolled up. They spit on it. They tried to spit on my daughter, who, by the way, is not white, but whatever. She's Asian. But if we can't have a white Atticus Finch, can we have perhaps a black Atticus Finch?
So before he got into all this, Aiden or anyone, if you couldn't hear, or as you were saying, it sounds much better now for whatever reason it came through better. He was just saying that they won't allow for a white savior. No one who is white is really allowed to bring these things up. Of course, you can be white and, basically beat
You can be
yourself
white
down.
yes.
Yes.
In fact, you're supposed to do that. That's what they call being actively anti-racist. That's part of the rhetoric.
Right. You can flail yourself all you want for penance, but you can't speak up
explain
and be
stuff
on the team.
Yeah,
Right.
you can't even again, like, one part I did absolutely hear that's very clear. It's extremely important to bring up is the abortion issue, and how, in my opinion, and I'm not familiar with David Knight, unfortunately, but
He used to work for Alex Jones, and then they split over Trump. So that's
okay.
But he's a pretty. I mean,
I'm surprised I haven't heard of him.
yeah.
I've always been sort of an on and off viewer of Alex Jones. I mostly watch the clips because I honestly find his show a bit hard to watch because of all the ads. That is my honest opinion on Alex Jones. But one thing that he brought up that I think is extremely important, again, is the abortion thing. And I do believe that what Margaret Sanger did was Black genocide.
Absolutely.
I
read her quotes on here before, and she's her, Bertrand Russell, a bunch of the early leftists, very fond of fascism as well as communism, very fond of eugenics. Eugenics is just kind of reformed.
I have an interesting
today. So
speaking of CRT, I have a very interesting Bertrand Russell quote.
Okay.
Just happens to be up because it's in my thing. He said, mathematics may be defined as a subject in which we never know what we're talking about, nor whether what we're saying is true. Isn't that interesting? So that's from Bertrand Russell, and that applies to CRT. It's basically like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know if it's true. So then 2 + 2 can equal 5. Sorry, it just came up. I knew we were going to talk about CRT, and I happen to have that exact Bertrand Russell quote right on.
No
on
worries. No worries, Aiden. So I'm going to play the rest of this because this is really what I wanted to get to. I just was kind of letting that intro into this go.
Maybe we have found one. I want you to hear what this father says about critical race theory to the school board.
My name is Ian Rice. I've got 2 children here in the Caledonia School District. It's very apparent here by all of the parents that have spoken that this board and the school district is failing. More importantly, I came here to talk about critical race theory. This theory was never meant to be brought into grade schools, high schools, at all. It's actually taught in the collegiate atmosphere. And more importantly, the legal portion of the collegiate atmosphere, to see different laws through the lens of race, from an ethics and an ethical standpoint, right? Not for grade schools and high schools. The problem with bringing it to high school and grade school level is that we don't have the educators to properly teach these kids. Instead, they're using it as their own agenda to indoctrinate the kids to hate each other. And whether you believe that to be true or not, the reality is that's what's happening. Critical race theory is teaching that white people are bad. That's not true. That would teach my daughter that her mother is evil. You already have an educator within your staff that has pulled my daughter aside and said, well, you're a minority, so you know better than to engage in certain things. Wow. When I was brought to the school's attention, nothing happened to the educator. Instead, my daughter was brought in, and she was ridiculed. So my question is now, with critical race theory being brought in, what is your criteria to educate the educators? And who are you to educate my children, or any of our children, in life issues? That's our job. Your job is to teach them math and science. Our job is to teach them about life. I believe racial issues and tensions across the U.S. are nowhere near what they used to be decades ago. Do we have a long way to go? Sure. Do we still have individuals out there that need to be taught? Absolutely. But I believe the people here don't look at me as a black man. They look at me as a man standing in front of you, addressing the issue that we all are very passionate about.
Wonderful. I've actually seen that clip before.
Okay, that's the first time I saw it was this morning. And I thought, oh, that's a good clip. I'll throw that in the show today. But yeah, that's the crux of it, right? On the ground level. And the guy sat there and said, I know what CRT is. Shouldn't be taught in schools because it's actually an academic thing. It's not a elementary, primary school, secondary, whatever, high school thing. It's for higher academics and specifically legal work.
Well, we can get into that.
Well, we can get into that. I know it's changed, but originally that's my understanding. But you have more knowledge of this, which is why I wanted you on the show, Aydin. But again, on the ground level, what is it? What is it about? It's just about power. It's about telling people what place they must maintain, what they must hold by a top-down authoritarian system.
So I'll define it for you. So
Okay.
Lanston's, Billings, and Tate, 1995, posit that. So critical race theory. First of all, let's preface it. Critical race theory is based on critical theory, which is a Marxist way of understanding the world. Which is a understanding world through power and oppression, right? So critical race theory takes critical theory, that Marxist understanding of everything is power systems, and applies it to race. So Lanston, Billings, Tate, 1995. They are not the first authors. Of course, this goes back to the mid 80s, but they give a pretty concise, I believe. Well, it's long, but a concise definition is that critical race theory is the following: one, race and racism are central, endemic, permanent, and essential in defining and explaining how U.S. society functions. 2. Critical race theory challenges dominant ideologies and claims of race neutrality, objectivity, meritocracy, colorblindness, and equal opportunity. 3. Critical race theory is activist in nature and propagates a commitment to social justice. 4. Critical race theory centers the experiences and voices of the marginalized and oppressed. And 5. Critical race theory is necessarily interdisciplinary in scope and function. So that's Lanston, Billings, and Tate's definition of the things that define critical race theory. We're going to break it down. There's some issues there, I would say, that we could instantly get into. I mean, it should be fairly obvious prima facie, but the first tenet of critical race theory is that racism is everywhere, and that we have to talk about it all the time. It is endemic, permanent. You can't get rid of it. That's another problem. Like any other kind of educational, anything else in education, right? If we institute an educational program, let's say we would say, oh, we want to increase math scores in this school, so we're going to try this new program. No. Critical race theory says you teach about it, you can't fix it, you can't decrease the racism. It will always be there. It is permanent and essential racism.
Right. And I would say that this is the same sort of thinking that goes into a lot of the studies with the sexes, the difference between the sexes, our sexual dimorphism. And there's where you'll find one class, I believe, of scientists trying to be actual observers of science, and another trying to put upon it, trying to pigeonhole their ideology into it. So we get these two like kind of parallel scientific systems. And the one that gets propped up, of course, is always the one that is maintained by the left because they have all the institutions. They have academia, the media, et cetera, et cetera. So
don't you see what a great grift that is, though?
Yeah,
as a CRT scholar, it's permanent.
It's a huge grift.
It's forever. You can never get rid of it. So
right.
You always got to
teach it. My point
it.
is right.
Mhm.
If we're going to approach everything that way, when they do these studies, they are looking at little children and saying, "Oh, they're racist already. They're racist from 8 months old. My daughter's 2 weeks. 2 weeks and like 2 days. So she's already racist apparently." It's stuff like that.
I off air, I did say congratulations, but congratulations again. And by the way, there's research on that that babies are racist.
Right, but
So-
that's kind of what I'm talking. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Aiden. Whether I presented that well or not, it's another issue.
No, you did, but they do these. So, like babies, from pretty much the moment they're born, will react faster to their mother's face than to the face of a stranger. Duh. I mean, like
Right.
that's kind of obviously, but in implicit associations testing, which is that when they flash the faces to you real quick, even as young children, babies will react faster to the race of their mother. And they've done this as soon as 6 months old, not 2 weeks, but 6 months they've done it. And so babies will show a quote unquote racial preference to whatever the race of their mother or caregiver, primary caregiver is. And people who follow CRT would say that's racist, that's a racist baby. Have you seen the book? It's called Non-Racist Baby or something like that. There's one of these little books.
Of course,
Yeah.
on the other show, it's more comedy, so I've seen a lot of memes with stuff like that. Yeah,
I think it's called Anti-Racist Baby or something. Let's see if you can find it. It's Baby. Is this it? Yeah, Anti-Racist Baby. It's a real book. It's by Ibram X. Kennedy, of course. Of course. So yeah, it's supposed to be you're supposed to be teaching this from 6 months, essentially.
Yeah, and that's crazy. To have an expectation like that upon a child that basically has less cognitive ability than most of your pets. I mean, they can't even live without constant nurturement and need. And even when they're mobile, right? You have to teach kids a lot about the world for a very, very long time.
We're a very case-selected species. So we reproduce very slowly, and we have to have a lot of energy from the adults put into the care of that child, unlike, more R-selected species. If I get those two mixed up, I might have. It's been a while since I talked about our case.
I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't tend to get into the science jargon as much, but
Don't worry about it. I probably fucked it up.
Well, Aydin, speaking of which, since we were talking about some of that, we can get into some more points there that you were talking about. But let's look at this, because this just came out. It's been covered a lot. You brought it up to me. I already had it ready, prepared in my show notes. But Tim Pool talked about this today.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. So they're teaching this new children's book about whiteness. And I actually have a video here from YouTube that we're going to watch.
What's it called? Not My Choice or something?
Yeah. Not My Idea.
Not My Idea.
By Anastasia Higgin Botham. So, Not My Idea. In any case, I'm not going to go through this article, but it basically tells people whiteness is a bad deal. It always was. And it says, dude, we can see your pointy tail, as if white people are the devil.
Well, here's the white devil with his $20 bill with Andrew Jackson on it.
Well, look at Jackson and look at Jeffrey Epstein, and they're the same person.
Yeah.
So. Obviously. So contract binding you to whiteness, you get da-da-da-da. In any case, it's just ridiculous.
Wait, let's go over what it says you get by being white, because it's really terrible.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a video. So just
we're going to watch. Okay, cool. Let's go through the whole book, because I actually, again, I can't remember her name, and I really apologize. But there was this lovely woman who works for the, just for the chat, who works for, I believe she was a journalist, and maybe is still an active journalist, but is also a parent and is in Virginia and is a part of the PTA there. She was on Tim's show a couple days ago, and she brought this book and a bunch of other books with her, and it's unbelievable. And this is being taught. So again, when people tell you that CRT is not being taught in schools, let's be clear. CRT as an academic paradigm. Sorry about that. That's fun, isn't it? Some jackass just drove by. But CRT as an academic paradigm, no, is not being taught in schools. But the pedagogical application of CRT is being taught in schools, and it's through books like this. So yeah, let's look at it.
Right. So first off, I wanted you all to see, because I am logged in. I'm normally not when I pull this up. This actually has a warning from YouTube. And then,
oh my God.
Yeah. Well, there's some other stuff that was taken down from YouTube in the last few days that we're going to talk about as well. It also has a very high ratio of 81 up likes to 455 down likes. This is not the only one, though. There are numerous uploads of people reading this, and they are all ratioed from what I've seen.
My question is, why is this inappropriate, YouTube? This is being taught to children. So why is this inappropriate?
Well, let's see. You guys let me know about the volume here, and we'll be stopping. Aydin and I will talk in between here. That sounds really quiet to me. How about to you, Aydin?
Oh, I didn't hear a single thing.
Okay. Let me see if the other one works better. The only other thing I can do with this, guys, is I can rip it real quick, which won't take me long.
You can also just, if you also just scroll through, we can read how about we read the pages?
Well, we can do that too.
Then it's all fair use. You're not using anyone else's content. Well, I guess you're reading the book, but it falls under fair use a little bit better. So maybe just
I'm using YouTube's content. We're making commentary, so I consider that.
Oh, I agree. It's fair use no matter what. But
right.
Yeah, if we just read it, I would be down to do that. I think I could probably just find the book real quick.
Well, if you can. Right now, I got this other one.
I'll go buy it on Amazon, honestly.
Let's see here.
I'd love to have this as a source. I can get it for Kindle for $10, but I don't want to pay this person, honestly. For this. I feel like that's a bad thing.
Here's another one, 5 up, 38 down. Let's see if it's any better on the sound.
Oh my god. Oh, just these images. It's awful. Even on the Amazon thing.
Not my idea. Did you hear that?
No. Again, let's just scroll through the pages, and I guess.
Okay. Let me yeah. Live production, guys. You know. I need a tank here. Not that he's any good, but that's the running joke, and it's also quite true. Everyone's aware of it.
Oh, I think one of the things we should do afterwards is on Amazon. There's all the editorial reviews, and I think we should read some of those too because they're interesting.
Okay.
Oh, I have a Kindle Point. I could buy this. I don't know to spend any money on it. Well, they probably get something though if I do that. How about, should I just get it on Kindle real quick?
You can, but look, if you want to read it, we can read it.
Actually, I do. I have Kindle Points, so
sure. If you want to do screen share, pull up your Kindle.
Well, I don't know if I can do that. Hang on. Can I do this on my deliver to not my Android? Can I just do it on my? Yeah, I should be able to do it. Hang on, and I'll screen share.
Live production.
Yeah, let's see. How do I now open this? Whoops.
Guys, while Aydin is doing that, putting together the show for me in the moment.
Probably.
Which is much appreciated. Hey, if you guys haven't already, if you're not regular here, please like, share, subscribe, that kind of thing. Help the channel grow. I think I've already gotten a few notifications, so that's appreciated if you guys have done so.
I do the Kindle app.
And of course, if you want to make any donations, we have an Entropy. I'm checking over there right now. Only got one person watching over there right now, but no worries. Either way, for those of you who don't like to use Google.
This will take me maybe like a minute or two. So if you want to tread water here for a minute or bring up something else that we could do while I'm trying to wait for
Oh, well, you want to bring up something else? I got lots of stuff to bring up.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go on and we'll come back to not my idea while I actually am able to try and pull up the app because I have to download the Kindle thing or whatever.
How about I bring up the cope?
Sure. Let's bring up cope.
I'll bring up the left wing cope for this.
Oh, are they coping?
Yeah. Of course they are.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they always are. Let's see here. Guys, I'm used to OBS, so you got to forgive me. All right. But I probably will be switching to StreamYards because OBS has been crappy for me recently. As you guys know, you've been watching my streams cut out. So we'll see about doing the StreamYards more regularly. So from The Atlantic, Boston's famous left-wing newspaper that's one of the oldest papers in the United States, it says, nobody wants white kids to feel bad about their race. The children's book author, Anastasia Higginbotham, and I disagree about how to teach young Americans about police killings and racism. Okay. It's just a disagreement.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it says the author of Ordinary Terrible Things, a widely praised children's book series that aims to address difficult subjects head on. In a recent article, I question whether her book, Not My Idea, which is now being used in public school curricula for young children, was appropriate for kindergartners. Not My Idea begins with a white child seeing footage of a police officer murdering a black man on television, and the child's mother trying to shield her from the images. At times, I thought that it crossed the line from education to indoctrination. Higginbotham, to put it mildly, disagreed with my criticisms. Really? You mean the author of the book disagreed with you? No doubt.
How unbelievable, right?
I'm not saying this is indicative of your character or beliefs in any way. You clearly believe and affirm that Black lives matter. Ooh. Man. She declared to me in an email, I am asserting that indoctrination into whiteness and anti-Blackness is evident in your framing. Clearly, we had deep disagreements over the issue families and educators all over America are grappling with. What exactly should we teach children about race, police killings, and the relationship between the two? I suggest, Higginbotham, that we air our differences through an email exchange, and she agreed. So before I get into any more of this, one, why are we even talking about this to children? This is so far beyond the pale of what children should be concerned with and worried about that it's ridiculous. The only reason to do this is literally to indoctrinate them in some sort of Plato-style republic. And,
appears to be the actual, yes, Plato-style republic. That appears to be the exact thing. Is to, and it takes about 20 years to completely indoctrinate a generation and the population at large. Then, and that appears to be the goal, which I find really despicable. And the weird thing is that the left doesn't even seemingly deny it. They're like, yeah, I mean, you saw it. We'll convert your children. Did you see that video?
That I have that. That was the thing that got they took down from YouTube.
They did take it down because
I have the clips, and I know Michael Knowles showed it the other day, so I have that for later on in the show if you want to watch that.
However, I do have the book, so
you do have the. I have the book up.
I'm screen sharing it. It should be up.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess we can go through this and we can read it. So, Not My Idea, a book about whiteness. All right. In a 1993 interview with Toni Morrison, Toni Morrison said about racism in America, this is intended for, what did they say? Let me look at what the Amazon
first graders
said. First graders. So this is okay. So this is intended for 7-year-olds, right? Okay. White people have a very, very serious problem, and they, highlighted or bolded, should start thinking about what they can do about it. She added, "Take me out of it." Those words landed in me as a direct command. I made this book for my own white sons. Oh, God. With help from their teachers and mine. It's dedicated to the Brooklyn Free School where my family was first called upon to engage with whiteness in order to dismantle white supremacy. So that's the thanks page. Okay, so here's actually where it is for kids. I will say, okay, that header is more for adults, right?
Right, but still, the Daily Mail article says K through 5th grade. So
K through 5th grade.
I would say this is probably a 2nd or 3rd grade reading level.
Well, the intro is usually that's not for the kids. That's
right. But I'm saying that from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But
do you want to start? You want to read the first page?
Sure. When grown-ups try to hide scary things from kids, oh no, not again.
Or the picture of a gun.
Yeah. What? Yeah, my kids will grow up around guns because that's the way you raise kids around guns.
Yes, to teach them that it's a tool. It's not something to be afraid of.
Right.
That's what it's an object. It's a tool. It's only scary if you don't know how to use it and you don't know what you're dealing with. All right, next page. Do you want to read it just entirely? It's really, or we can.
I can read it, Aiden. That's fine.
Okay.
It's usually because they're too scared. Who is that with their hands up? Why is that policeman screaming at him?
Oh, gee, I don't know why. Maybe it's because he was high on fentanyl. I don't know.
Let me add some.
Maybe it's because he passed off a counterfeit.
Let me add something to this.
Was it a 5 or a 20? I can't. It was some ridiculous. It was a 20.
It was a 20. Yeah.
Oh, that would explain that $20 bill. Oh, that's what it's about. Oh, it's all about that. Oh my God. Oh, it's all coming together now. It's Andrew Jackson.
You heard it here first, people, and all -1. But just to give some context to this, when I was a little kid, I wanted nothing more than to be an astronaut. And I mean a little
Who
kid, like
didn't?
from the time I was like 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
8. And when I was in kindergarten, I was home from school. I think I was sick that day, the stomach ache. I don't even remember what. And I watched the Space Shuttle Challenger blow up.
Oh, like I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my mom came home that evening from work and said, "What'd you do today?" Or something like that. And I told her, my mom will tell you this, that I told her, "I watched the space shuttle blow up on TV today, Mom." Like I had no clue
They
about the
showed it in my
significance of that.
school.
Yeah.
They showed it to us in school. They all brought us in to watch. I remember I was in elementary school. They brought us into the like central room and they put it on the TV and showed it to us while it was happening. It was crazy. Because I mean, like you're all 6. Everyone when they're 6 or 7 for the most part. Not everybody, but a lot of them want to be astronauts. You know, space is cool. Space is awesome. So it was so weird when that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I don't think that kids have such a perception. Very few kids do. Now, I started watching political stuff. By the time I was in 5th grade, I used to like to watch 2020.
Oh,
But
I unfortunately started with Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart.
no.
Daily Show.
I was watching 2020 back when Hugh Downs and Barbara Walter were on there, and John Stossel was just like a tertiary character. So, and maybe you're talking about, I said Challenger, maybe you were thinking of another one because you are.
What was I thinking?
Well, I'm 40, Aiden, so I was.
Oh, maybe it wasn't Challenger. What was it?
That was
then?
85 or something like that. 86.
There was some big. Yeah, what could have been Challenger then? What
there was
it?
another one. And
there was another one. Yeah, where when I was like 5, and I'm 30, so when I was like 5, there was some horrible accident, and they brought us in. I mean, again, I'm 5. My memory of this is not great. And they brought us in and had us watch it live, and I remember that being a really traumatic memory. A very similar thing happened in a totally different school. 6 or 7 years later, when 9/11 happened, they all brought us into this is a total tangent, but they brought us into the all the students in this tiny Catholic school brought us all into the gymnasium and told us that there was a terrorist threat on the building, and so we were going to evacuate. We were in Baltimore. We were not in New York, you know, and that scared the shit out of me. And then I went home and watched the towers fall, and that obviously scared the shit out of me too. But
I feel like there was another one some years ago that maybe you did see it. I can't recall, but either way, whatever.
There was some weird thing where like maybe they did just show us the Challenger footage, but they played like live news coverage. So maybe I just thought it was happening live because I was 5.
It was an anniversary thing.
Maybe that might have been it, but they played like live news footage like it was happening. So maybe it was Challenger, and they just played it for us. Which, by the way, all of that's a weird thing to do to 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds, whatever.
Well, it's this weird perceived notion that these children can abstract things. It's I watch this with adults all the time when they sit there and try to discipline their kids, and they're like, now, Jimmy, now you have to realize that to be nice to people is a good thing because then they'll be nice to you back, and and they start going on this long kind of like philosophical, they dumb it down a little bit, but philosophical thing. And the kid like basically knows, you know, this exists and this doesn't. And, you know, my perception of the world is reality. That's what kids think. They don't have abstractions like we have.
No, they don't. No, they actually can't. There's very interesting research that shows. Here's the really cool thing about this, and as a father, you might have noticed this, is that when kids are very, very young, they are very empathetic to a degree. Like when they're like 1 to 4, they're very empathetic. They want to share. They want to be kind. And then around like 5, and there's research on this, it drops, it plummets, and suddenly it all becomes about me because they're trying to figure out the world. And the way that you figure out the world is you're the only person who can figure it out because you're the center of it, obviously. So
they become mimickers for us. And that's a big part of it. And then they start thinking independently. But true abstraction that doesn't happen until you're like 8, 9, 10, and it really doesn't set in until you hit puberty.
Yeah, so. And that's where that empathy drop happens, usually around age 7 or 8. Like you said, that's where it usually drops, and then around age 13, when they go through puberty, and that's his own freaking issue, you know. But then empathy starts to come back, and it's like, oh wait, no, I can understand other people. You know, the world does exist outside of me. And other people feel the same things I feel, and I do think probably the best way to not to say to kids is not like just be fair, because it's like, how would you feel? You have to. How do you think that works?
Personalize it. Well, I mean, a lot of it's like I said this to my wife yesterday because we were driving home from a checkup for the baby, and we were talking, and I said something, and she took it really literally, and I said, "What are you, 5?" It's like, and then we got into the conversation because I was like, basically, little kids will say things when you say things to them, they believe it's literal, and I forget what she told me, but she goes,
Oh,
"Oh yeah," she goes, "My dad told me something." I can't remember what she said, but
well, they don't have the
it was something
ability
like, "Go
yet
ahead."
to understand. No, like, little kids, they don't have that ability to understand sarcasm or being facetious.
Well, right,
That's
or
a
idioms.
complex
They don't
communication
understand things
thing.
like, head over heels. That doesn't make sense to them.
Right.
They don't know what that means.
It
In any
turns a
case,
phrase because they
right,
don't really mean anything. They mean something, but what the heck does the head over what? Like that's all just stuff that has to be learned culturally.
right.
Sorry, we're getting way off track on
I know,
this.
it's okay, it's okay. I told you,
I
if you
always
can stream with me for 3 hours, let's
I
do it.
always do
Let's
this. I
do it.
always do this. Do you
Yiz
want to
is here,
continue?
by the way, and so is old Joshua Ham.
Oh, hey, yes.
Yiz, I got an entropy. It's in the description. It should come up. It's playing right now. I got someone in my chat, so if you go to the YouTube description, it should be there. Anyways, guys, yeah, I will plug that once again. I do have an entropy. You can donate there since I'm not monetized on YouTube's. And I probably never will because, well, I don't really like YouTube. I'm just
Who
here because
does,
this
to
is
be
where
honest?
everyone goes.
I mean, like honestly, I mean, I'm just stuck here. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The reason everyone's like, why don't you just freaking leave YouTube? And it's like, well, I'm scared of all these other sites because they all keep dying within like 2 months. And I'm waiting for one to prove its longevity to me.
I just don't
Basically,
feel like it's proper to leave a battlefield when the fight's still going. I
I
mean, if
agree
they
with that too. Yeah.
yeah, if they assassinate me, that's a whole nother thing. But
Yeah. Why leave it? Why leave the battlefield? I mean, you it's
well, I
kind
mean,
of
we both know Yiz
capitulating.
left, and I think Yiz has good
Yeah.
reason. Yiz has very good
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways, let's
Well,
read this
yeah.
book.
It's not capitulation, I guess, but
Yeah,
I guess it depends. You pick your battles, right? Pick your battles.
that's right. Let's read this book here. It says, bang, 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 bang. They want to bury the truth.
Who
You don't
buried
need to,
oh, right, because your parents turn off a violent murder?
right. You don't need to worry about this. You're safe. Understand?
This is for
No.
7-year-olds.
Right.
Go ahead, I guess. The next page, because that goes into it.
Well, you got the pages.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Does it not show up on your side? All right. I'll do it
No,
then.
I can't control the pages. No.
Oh no, because the next one is you don't need to worry about this. You're safe. Understand? And the kid's thinking, no.
No, I
Don't
read that.
understand.
I'm at the
Oh,
next
did you?
one.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that part then. I'm freaking. I don't know. I didn't sleep a whole lot last night, so.
It's fine, Aiden. I think my last
And
stream was terrible.
I've been drinking I've been mainlining G Fuel for like 2 days.
I felt like I had much mouth the entire time. I did a stream last Friday, so that wasn't fun because I'm constantly thinking, am I saying this correctly? Am I enunciating my words right? Because I do have a habit of
I get that all the time when I record, even like
yeah.
that's
Well, when you
sound a little
rewatch, a lot of times
mushy.
it's not as bad as you think, right?
Right, I know. It's because you're too critical of your own
Right.
voice.
In any case, it says, our family is kind to everyone. We don't see color. Deep down, we all know color matters.
That's fucked up, okay? Our family is kind to everyone. We don't see color. No. You're not kind to everyone. Color matters. You do see it. Well, okay, to be fair, yeah, you do. I will be honest. You do. Like everybody does. I mean, and it's nothing really. If there's anything I can say positive about the critical race theory stuff, and it's the only positive I can possibly say, is the idea that people do see color, but the idea of color blindness is that, like, yes, we do know people have different racial backgrounds, but we're not supposed to care about it because why does it matter? It doesn't matter. Why does color matter? Author of what's your name? Anastasia Higginbottom. Why does color matter? Exactly. For children.
All right. So real quick, so I don't get behind on this, not that I feel like I'll get a million super chats. Yiz did send me 2 super chats. Hail the wise Al- Alucius. I don't even know how to pronounce this word, Yiz. I'm being very dyslexic at the moment. Let me see here. Elocution. The wise elocution. Bill, and the erudite charming Aydin.
Oh.
And then Kizla for $25. Thank you, buddy. Big donation. Yeah, appreciate it. Put this to good use from a 2-time uncle. We need to do another video stream sometime. Yeah, man, we'll have you back on the show. I think Yiz and I just talked earlier. We're going to have her next week on the Ends Justify the Memes. And it's been a while since we've had Yiz too. I had to give a lot of leeway here to see how the baby was going to work out. And so far,
I'm shocked. I was shocked when you asked me on. I was like, didn't you just have a baby like 2 weeks ago?
I told you while she was sort of going into labor, I was like, yeah, maybe tomorrow if it's not short notice. I was like, never mind.
Well, I know, because you were supposed to do it like 2 weeks ago, and then you're like, she's going to labor. I'm like, well, okay, whatever, man. I was figuring like 2 months.
Both my wife and I are bored to death right now because neither one of us have been really working. And I'm probably going to go to 2 streams a week next week. We're going to have to see. But I was streaming every day nearly. So,
oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Well, I mean, that's how I feel sometimes people ask me, like, how do you write all that? How do you read all that research and write all that stuff? It's like, because if I didn't do it, I'd go insane. Not everyone is like that. I learned that recently because I was doing, this is another tangent, but I was doing like research on why this we don't want to work anymore phenomenon. And I was like, I don't understand that. And I wanted to understand it because that's why I studied social sciences, because I looked at things I didn't understand, like social interaction at the time when I was way more socially awkward and let my autism be a little bit worse, or hadn't gotten it more under control. And I was like, I don't understand why people want to talk to each other. and that's why I studied communication in undergrad. That was why, because I didn't understand it. So it's the same thing where it's like, I look at stuff where I don't understand it, and I don't understand how people don't want to work ever. If I spend more than a day playing a video game and not working, even if it's, I know that YouTube as a job is not what most people consider working, but hey, I've worked retail. But even then, when I worked retail, if I had spent more than a day or 2 taking off work, I would go nuts. I think it's a personal thing. So I think it's a different thing between different people.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like sitting here doing this, I want to do it because I want to talk. But like if you interacted with me in real life, you'd realize that I don't sit around for too long. I'm usually standing, I'm sitting, I'm standing, I'm sitting, I'm all over the place because I have to move. I can't not necessarily sit still. So when I do like a 2 or 3 hour stream, I am like ready to get up and do stuff afterwards or drink a bunch of beer one way or another. I'm like,
well, that's the nice thing about doing YouTube. You can do both. But
yes. Yeah.
However, well, actually, when I worked at Kmart, it doesn't matter. It's just so long ago. It's like forever ago. But when I worked retail, I worked there for 1 month, and then the store shut down. It was bought up and was going to be liquidated. And there's like, anybody want to work midnight to 7 a.m.? And I went, oh, me, because I hate dealing with people. I hate dealing with customers. And so everyone there got kind of fucked up. We would just like fix up the store and clean it, and everyone just kind of got drunk. And I was like, oh, I'm fine with this kind of retail. This is okay. Actually, it doesn't matter if anyone knows that, because that Kmart shut down and Kmart basically doesn't exist anymore. So whatever.
What are they going to do? Come after you in the UK?
Yeah, what would they do anyway? I mean, who could prove it? You got to prove what happened 6 years ago.
They're not going to do anything. So I got one more from Yiz real quick here. It says,
oh, hell yeah.
As for me, leaving the battlefield, it was a tactical choice, not cowardice. Yeah, we know, Yiz. That's exactly what I was saying. Mm-hmm. Even my comments get memory hold in old PooTube, let alone the video suppression. I use PooTube how I can, just not content. Yeah, and I don't fault anyone for leaving it. I'm just saying.
No, I don't either.
I'm not leaving it until they kick me off. It's just, I'm hard-headed though. I'm like that. Like if you are an individual and you're like, you can't do this, I'll be like, you know what? Let me show you. I'm 5'6". If someone told me I couldn't dunk, I'd be like, give me a year. Give me a year.
Yeah, exactly. That's psychological reactance. One of my favorite things. But it's I mean, YouTube would, I'm sure they want, I don't know. Sometimes they really support me. I mean, sometimes like the algorithm is clearly favoring me, and then other times it's just like, not this month, absolutely not. So as long as things are going okay, and again, I said my reticence was specifically about these other platforms not being stable and me not trusting them with my information. That's the other big thing. I don't want to
Yeah.
give anyone.
I think
I don't want to give.
Rumble and Odyssey seem stable to me, but hard to say.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
Sorry, that was a tangent. I'll continue.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time I've had a guest on here, so we've had many a guest on the Ends Justify the Memes. And speaking of being drunk, I was kind of drunk. Um, I was fighting a hangover, though.
Oh, yeah.
The only real cure. But let's get in. Let's keep going with this content.
All right, you want to go?
Yeah, skin color makes a difference in how the world sees you and how you see the world.
That is true, actually.
No, I agree, but it's a perception that's misplaced. So, for instance, I remember taking a sociology course from down at well, it was online, but it was through the University of Maryland, UMBC, the Baltimore campus. And
well familiar.
Yes. And the instructor was telling us in the very first portion of the sociology class, you may not realize it, but white people only make up 25% of the world. And I'm like, what do you mean? How do people not realize that? Or 20% of the world? I'm like,
duh.
Duh. Like, and all these people are typing in the comments. They're like, I didn't even think about that. Oh my God. And I'm like, what do you think? Do you realize there's 1 billion people in the continent of Africa? There's 1 billion people in India and 1 billion people in China, and you think white people are the majority of the...
I mean, are these the people who get taken away by these kinds of CRT narratives? Like people who are like, whoa, like
still this guy,
white people are a minority in the world.
So this guy is a professor at a university.
But I live in a white nation, sort of predominantly white European nation.
Right.
Well, post-European, whatever.
We're talking about certain things. He starts talking about income inequality. Mind you, this was over 10 years ago, but he starts talking about that. And then I say, you know what, though? Everyone in America who makes over $33,000 a year is in the top 1% of all the world. And he's like,
yeah.
He's like, Bill, I didn't know that. Are you sure about that? And I'm like, I am 100% sure about that. You can look it up. That statistic changes to some degree, depending on the like 30 to 34,000, but it's about there. Most people
lower middle class.
Right.
In America.
Most people in the world do not have the kind of wealth that our lower middle class, when you first enter the lower middle class above the poverty line, have, period. And that's a good perspective to keep yourself humble, in my opinion, to have.
I agree 100%.
Right. To just understand how wealthy we actually are here.
I will say, I'll use the word privileged. And that applies not just to white people, but to black people and brown people and Asian people who live in America, is you are privileged. All of you are. It's not just whitey. It's all of you are privileged to be born in or live in America.
Before you came on, or before I noticed you came in, I was listening to Christian Watson. I don't know if you know him. Smaller channel. Okay, so Adam Friend had him on a few weeks back, caught him, and then I got on a show at the end last week, just randomly. I was supposed to be streaming, but my stream shut down. And in any case, he should be on the show next week. But he's a very intelligent young man who's very much into fighting CRT, and he gets into the epistemology and the very, very heady kind of philosophical, pedagogical kind of things. In any case, I left a comment in there because he was talking about sort of like the idea of privilege and the utopia of America. And I have a friend who's a first generation immigrant from India, and he's very conservative.
Wow.
He's very much into like three-gun shooting, all this stuff. And
that's not unusual,
yeah. He's more of an acquaintance than a good friend. But I talked to him. I said, dude, what do you think about all these lefties and them loving the idea of the way India is, or Hinduism, all that stuff? And he goes, it's ridiculous. He goes, he didn't even understand. He's like, they don't even understand how racist it is in India, the caste system, all that stuff. And I said, yeah, exactly. And I know. Said, they seem to think it's a utopia. He goes, no, dude. He goes, here, this is the utopia.
Are there leftists who think that India is a utopia?
Oh, yeah.
India's not even socialist in any way.
No, but it used to be. it used to be highly communistic, and the communists were there. It's
Yeah, well, not for a long time.
yeah, you're
And
right.
India's caste system, well, I guess that makes it quite apt for communism, I suppose, because of the caste system that exists. The caste system in India is so incredibly oppressive. I've spoken to people from India, and if you haven't, you should, because I mean, I obviously you have, but I'm speaking to the chat more broadly and people listening. If you want to know what unfairness looks like, if you think America is a racist, unfair system where people can't get ahead, talk to someone from India, please. I absolutely implore you, speak to someone from India, because holy shit.
Yeah, Joshua Ham says if you actually calculate reparations for descendants of black slaves, they would owe tens of thousands of dollars each. They're so much better off here, even under even the urban poor. So I don't know if that's from another.
They have access to things that people, come on now. I know that, like, I'm not going to defend the American healthcare system. It's shit, right? There's a lot of reasons I could talk shit about it. And the way insurance companies absolutely ruin it, by the way, because they drive the prices up. Insurance companies 100% drive the prices up and make it worse.
Right. And the government's.
And the government doesn't help either.
Right.
It's a complex, multifaceted system wherein American healthcare is great. It is, compared to lots of other places in the world, but it's also a scheme in many ways to really fuck people over in the long run. But you have access to these things. If you lived in Africa, I'm sorry, but if you were living in sub-Saharan Africa, where the majority of black slaves come from, and by the way, I'm not justifying slavery. Obviously, the worst fucking thing, besides the Holocaust that ever happened. I'm not joking like that. That sounds facetious, but I'm being. Why does it have to sound facetious? Because it's not. But the worst fucking thing that's ever happened in human history is slavery, and not just Western American imperialistic slavery. Slavery happens everywhere. It happens right now.
Yes,
slavery is terrible.
Yes,
it's the worst thing you can do to somebody.
That's the thing that drives me nuts, Aydin.
Rape, I don't know.
They complain about something that we did a long time ago that we corrected, even though it wasn't corrected perfectly.
There's slavery in America today.
Then they support the party that kept them oppressed after it was corrected. And now there's slavery currently going on. People crossing the border in sex slavery, people being shipped in sex slavery. It's all over the world, but it still happens here in the United States.
How many tens of thousands of sex slaves
on the left? They're worried about something that happened 200 years ago.
And yet they don't want any kind of barriers to people crossing the border. These children and women are being brought over and made into sex slaves because they don't have any rights, because they're not citizens. So they can just get put away into someone's basement where they either make them work as a maid, otherwise send them back across the border with the coyote, right? Which I know was really funny when they thought, like, Trump thinks coyotes literally carry Mexican babies across the border. No, okay, whatever. We all know what that means. But anyone being realistic here knows what that means. But there's thousands, tens of thousands of slaves in the United States that are not documented. And what makes that worse? Open borders where we can't track these people and try to protect them from being turned into freaking slaves. And yet I'm not the progressive one. I'm the evil, mean conservative who cares about these people. Oh well.
Yeah.
You can't deal rationally with this kind of fucking shit. Sorry.
No, you can't. I got a few more super chats over in Entropy. I'm going to read real quick. Kizza sent another one. Aydin, the lockdowns and stimulus checks, a furlough scheme demonstrated the true reality of the UBI system. I think want the lockdowns to end, earning around $2,500 a month. No chance, because I wanted to take a full advantage of the government. Val Jean, one of our liberal.
I don't no way blame you for taking advantage of the government, though. Real quick, by the way, good on you, dude.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agreed. I knew with the stimulus we're going to bring more inflation, but you might as well. They steal that money from you all the time.
It's there. Take it.
Yeah. Val Jean, who gives to us all the time. It says, in and out quick, heading home for work. Just wanted to say hi to everybody. Thanks, Val. Always appreciate it. And then Yiz says one more time, another super chat says, one of the worst lies of the anti-white CRT is that race is skin color. BS. Race means a lot more than appearance. Race means subspecies or Homo sapien, and to say otherwise is anti-science. Well, there is a there's a whole argument about divergent evolution that we can get into that I'm not going to address right now because I want to talk about the CRT thing and this children's book and some other stuff about going after the children. And we've been rabbit holing all over the place.
I know. Not my intention. I always do that though. But
it is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
Real quick though, yeah, it is deeper than skin. And as I tried to express last night on Adam's show, it would be best if we could figure out how to make people more equal, but we have to acknowledge these differences in order to figure that out. You can't make things more equal by pretending that differences don't exist. And pretending science isn't real.
We also can't just blatantly say that all of the inequalities are based on someone's skin color or ethnic group. Like those inequalities are culturally ingrained, they're intellectually ingrained. There are societal issues, obviously, like welfare.
Yeah, environment's a huge issue. Environment, right. I would say in America, it's a major fucking issue. Because people, again, have access to great healthcare. I mean, it's expensive, but they have access to it. They have access to great nutrition. They choose not to use it often. But whatever, we can't. I'll get back on track. I'll read the next page.
You don't have to answer this, but you can think. You can think about this. It just says why. Why would equality be great?
In theory, it's nice.
Yeah, she says you're chasing a lie, which I would agree. I don't think there is. I
completely agree with you, as I usually do. But I do agree that
under the law, right?
Equality under the law. It would be great if we could make. First of all, the idea that everyone should be the same, that's not what I'm saying. Everyone should not be identical robots. It would be nice if everybody had equal access to everything and everybody had equal opportunities. That's what I mean. And unfortunately, there are things like IQ that prevent that.
Right. I would say access and opportunity, though, those aren't things that we can necessarily change.
Access you do, but access and opportunity are limited by things like IQ.
They're limited by geography. They're limited by networking. They're limited by numerous things.
Well, if you're low IQ, you don't have the same. I mean, you do have the same access, but you don't have the same opportunities because you have a different status. You're not going to be able to have the same opportunities as someone who's a freaking genius. And that person, by the way, they might have the opportunities, but waste them. That's the whole. I guess that's the rub of it.
All right, so
sorry, that was a tangent again.
You wanted to read this book, Aiden. I was going to play.
I'm trying to read it. All right, so the next page is: I want to bring my aunt a gift. This will only take a minute. I don't know where that's going. It makes a difference in how much trouble seems to find or let you be. And there's what? So okay,
the black kid. It looks like versus the white kid.
Black security guard, by the way.
Yeah, I know. But somehow the black kid is he's the danger, not the little white girl. You know what?
Here, I thought it was he was looking at the cheaper bowls. I thought that was the meaning.
Well, it says it makes a difference in how much trouble seems to find you or let you be.
Yeah, that's what the words say. But I thought it was because she's reaching up. The visual meaning: the white girl with Band-Aid hair is reaching up, and the black kid he's reaching down for the lower 8 and 10. She's reaching for 15.
Well, I'm just telling you, if the security guard's watching one or the other.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the surface meaning,
right? But either way, regardless of the skin tone, I would 100% be watching the boy more than the girl because boys are far more destructive than women.
He also looks like he's 5. She looks like she's maybe 10. So right. You might watch a 5-year-old more. How about that? Let's go forward. Sorry, you want to read this one?
In stories in cars on sidewalks stories in cars.
Yeah.
In sidewalks at schools, your skin color affects the most ordinary daily experiences, including.
Oh, here comes the popo. You can see them on the next page. They're coming.
Piggy.
This art is freaking awful. It's like cut out of magazines and stuff. What the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, we used to do this in school, like to make mock-ups of what the art we were going to do would look like. It's not finished art. Come on now. Which neighborhoods welcome you? So wait, the line was including which neighborhoods welcome you.
Didn't the Obamas just move into like a multi-million-dollar mansion in Beverly Hills?
Of course they fucking did. They're multimillionaires.
But they're black, Aiden.
But they look. Oh, they
How are they
specifically
allowed? How are they allowed to the white neighborhood?
I can't be explained. But look, they also there's Jesus. How dare there be a Jesus and an American flag?
Uh-oh.
Those are naughty things. So relieved you got here safely. Why wouldn't we? The protests. Well, that's a real fear.
Yeah.
What is okay, next page. What does racist dad say? Since that would be your role. I guess. On the next page.
Came to demand justice for the unarmed African American. They demanded to end the killings across the nation. Okay, did they start in their own neighborhoods? Just a question.
I think that's on those are supposed to be like lines from the media.
Yeah.
And he's just saying they're blocking the road.
Yeah, people got to get to work and stuff.
Yeah, you got to go to work. Yeah. What about an ambulance? How about that? What about a fucking ambulance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, look, I take a pacifist stance, but I also know myself, and I know, the violence I participated in the past. So I'll never say that I wouldn't ever get out of line, especially if you threaten my family. But generally, like, I don't advocate for any of that stuff. But there are things that I see in these protests and how they come up to people. I'm like, I would not tolerate you for a minute. I would. You guys are going to pick the wrong person one day. It probably won't be me, but somebody's going to come out and they're going to do a lot of damage.
Well, I mean, how many people died in 2020 in these riots? 30 plus, I know for sure. I don't know the exact number, but I know it was over 30
in the initial weeks. Yeah. So 20 some odd people were dead in the initial weeks. I talked about it on here on some of my early videos. So who knows over the course of the year? I'm sure it's 100 or more.
I'm sure they stopped reporting on it specifically.
Yeah. A lot of little kids died. A lot of people shot in the middle of the street. So, all right, next one. Breaking news. Family speaks out on police shooting. You may get the message that racism is happening only to black and brown people. Racism is a white person's problem, and we are all caught up in it. I can't watch the news. That police officer was just doing his job.
Also, I think that little kid, what pride flag is that? Is that non-binary? I think that's it.
At least that's not the pedophile flag.
I was going to say, I don't think it's the pedo flag, but I think it's the non-binary flag. Yeah, well, you can't watch the news because it's horrible. It makes people depressed, and it creates there's this thing called well, there's agenda setting, and then there's terror management, and then there is mean world hypothesis. And the mean world hypothesis is this idea is that when people are heavy news consumers, they think the world is a way more evil place than it actually is. They think crime, like when you ask leftists who are heavy news consumers, they think that like 5,000 black people are shot by cops a year. I don't, that's not an exact number, but there was a study that they did or a survey where they asked people like, how many black people do you think are shot by cops? And
it's on average around 1,000 is what they say. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
crazy number. But it's like
where it's like 20.
It's like 20.
It's actually been 20.
Well, I think they're suffering from mean world syndrome. Just saying.
Well, that's when people go on about the racism and everything's racism. I'm like, where do you see this? And what conversations do you have? And it's not like I've never experienced someone who's blatantly racist in my life. But what I'm saying is that the majority of people aren't. And even the people that I've met who are blatantly racist, they're not doing anything about it.
Also, they'll tell you.
They're just complaining, right?
That's an interesting thing too, is that like they think there's all these secret racists around and that people who say they aren't racist are secretly racist. And it's like, hang on a minute. I've known racists. They will tell you. They
They
will
do.
tell you, like actual white supremacists. I've run into a few. There's not a whole lot of them, but they do exist, absolutely. And like I mean, actual like neo-Nazi type people, and they will tell you that's how they feel. It's not hidden. This idea of like looking for the hidden racist. It's trying to find the Jew. I would say, interestingly, you're trying to like sniff him out, right?
Okay,
It's the same kind of ideology.
I got a donation from Sam Nope here. He says, Aiden, if it's an ambulance, it can just drive through the protesters. King Roz of the Chaz told me so. Or
I
Raz,
mean,
whatever.
I guess so. They probably are allowed to. But they're allowed to like. It's horrible that they were in that one brilliant instance. They could have blocked actual ambulances. I almost said amber lamps. Oh my god, my fucking Balmer almost came out there for a second. Whoops. Oh, how awful.
It came out when you said Baltimore there.
Oh, did I say Balmer?
Yeah, you said Baltimore.
Balmer.
Baltimore.
And they're amber lamps.
You want to get ghetto? Just call it B more, guys. That's what.
Yeah,
that's
be
what
more.
all the-
That way, I don't have to say Balmer. You know,
Yep. Say
Balmer
be
hun,
more.
getting your amber lamps.
It is good to have you from my neck of the woods. I didn't know
I
that
know.
for the first time we spoke.
Yeah. I can't believe that came out. I tried so very hard to stop that, to not allow that to permeate my speech.
All right, let's keep going with this book here. It'll be like 5 hours before we get through it.
I know. Let's get through it. A children's book. It's 5 hours of dissecting this book
That's
for
what Adam
7-year-olds.
and Sitch would do.
I know. Mostly by refusing to look at it. Wait, let me read where that came from. Racism is a white person's problem, and we're all caught up in it, mostly by refusing to look at it. Come away from the TV now. Look, I made your favorite. Yeah, because these are 7-year-olds. You can face this. When you're 7? Should you?
No.
Do they not believe in like childhood innocence?
Well, what happened? Right. This is the same thing, which we're going to get into. This is the same thing they're doing with the childhood sexuality. And there is no childhood sexuality unless adults place that upon them. And when you do such a thing,
they're
you basically
prepubescent.
ruin them for the rest of their lives to have close, intimate relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Racial justice. We must step up, in quotes. Understanding the truth takes courage. I'm just trying to speed through this a little bit now. Sorry.
No worries.
Especially a painful truth about your own people, your own family. Is it weird, like how parts of this are pasted in, like the word "your" is, like they screwed up the page? Just saying. So
Yeah,
mom
that
is
funny.
yeah, it's weird. Mom is looking back in the dash and says, "Are you all right?" Or through the rearview mirror, and she looks really perturbed. The 7-year-old. Even people you love may behave in ways that show that think they, again, posted in here, are the good ones. Well, maybe if you're all a bunch of leftists.
Well, what's interesting about this, so even in the 80s, when I was in elementary school, they would come in and tell us about the environment and CO2 and the hole in the ozone layer was a big deal when I was a kid that magically went away, but they banned CFCs for the very purpose to repair the ozone.
Well, they did repair the ozone in Australia, didn't they?
Did they repair it? I don't know.
They did some work to repair the ozone, I believe. I could be wrong.
I know that it naturally repaired itself from my
it repaired itself.
Yeah.
I thought there was some initiative in like Australia or something, but
it might be true. I don't know. But
I'm
just saying
here, also, I don't remember exactly.
Then I grew up with, Hands Across America, if you guys remember that at all.
Oh, yeah.
Go look that up. Those kinds of things. This was very, I think, a prevalent thing coming up from basically the folks that were indoctrinated in the 60s to bring into my generation and pedagogy in schools. And then later on, when I became an education major, I was 29. I didn't stay in it long, but when I was doing that, I was learning about these different thoughts of teaching. And you see that 95% of the educators are women. And they're like, okay, so this thought of teaching is that you're supposed to teach kids how to do the basics, like read and write. And I'm like, okay, I'm down with that. And they're like, and this thought of teaching is basically you're supposed to teach the kids how to critically think for themselves and give them both sides of the issues. And I'm like, I'm down for that.
Right.
And then the third one was like, this way of teaching is basically that you can use children, you can teach them so that you can be an influence and change the world. And I'm like, wait, whoa. Wait a minute.
Stop it. Stop.
What does this have to do with teaching children anything? Like go stand on a soapbox on the street corner, go start a ministry or something. Start a YouTube channel. This isn't something that needs to be in schools. Like
Right.
reading, writing, arithmetic, history, maybe civics.
I guess they would say history. Oh, you got to teach that in a specific way. Also, I finally figured out what was going on this page. Sorry, as an aside. Do you know she's locking the car door as they drive past the black people?
Oh, that little black boy was going to mug him, obviously.
Well, okay. I was talking about this earlier on Adam's stream, which is that, like, I don't think that's racist if you're driving through a really bad neighborhood where you know there's high crime. It doesn't have to do with the race of people so much as it has to do with not wanting to get mugged because it's a high crime area.
Dude, so you know Hagerstown, Maryland, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I grew up. I don't live far now. I'm just in West Virginia. But if I drive through Hagerstown and I'm not sitting at lights or whatever, a lot of times I'll lock the doors. But I can't drive through downtown Hagerstown without seeing about 20 people I know who've been locked up in jail because I worked at the county jail for 13 years. So it's not even me being scared. It's just trying to avoid some idiot, wanting to jump in my car, do something stupid. You don't freaking know. Hagerstown's not like some crime-ridden city per se. It's got its issues with drugs and poverty and whatever.
But Hagerstown's not a huge city, I would say.
No,
like
55,000 people.
Drive into Baltimore, though. Go into downtown Baltimore City. Everyone locks their doors. I drove through this neighborhood that's pictured here on the left. I drove through neighborhoods that look like that every day when I was going to my job when I was in my mid-20s, where everything's boarded up. I mean, it looks like the apocalypse happened. I didn't lock my doors because the area was predominantly black. I locked my doors because the businesses have giant grates that they pull down every night to protect them because people break into them all the time because it's dangerous. It's a crime-ridden area. That's not racist. Apparently, it is to this person.
No, not at all. But see, by your statement saying that crime-ridden area, and then you look at the demographics and you see that it's full with black people. Well, obviously it is racist, Aydin, because if it was full with white people, it wouldn't be racist. It would just be a fact. But if it's full of black people, that's racist somehow.
What's the issue? Is it poverty? Is it cultural?
Right. Kizza here says, remember, Aydin and Bill, the next time protesters block the road, use it to recreate the Halo Wars 2 trailer with gas being blasted at 150 dB. Sure, Kiva. Get right on that, buddy. All right. Racism was not your idea. You don't need to defend it. You can bring your curiosity to learn about it and see that it's true. I'll be over here if you need me, okay?
So go to your library. By the way, let's be really clear. Ignore your parents.
Yes.
Now go to your library and go pick up this book and Ibram X. Kennedy's non-racist or anti-racist baby book and stuff like that. And see our shared history in the United States of America. White people have committed outrageous crimes against black people for 400 years. All along, every step of the way, people who love justice and love each other have been fighting back. Have they, though? Some people have, for sure. But who is that? Is it the Democrats? Is that what you think? Because, got a bit of a red pill for you there. I don't know. Outrageous crimes. America was also the second place on earth to end slavery.
Yes.
Slavery
if you go into the literature, Aydin, someone will tell you that's not true because the Chinese emperor back in the 1st or 2nd century or whatever it was, he banned slavery in China. Of course, it came back
later. Yeah, okay, so we're the 3rd place on earth to ban slavery. Okay,
I've literally read that though. United States
really
wasn't one of the first places to end slavery. It was ended in China 2,000 years ago.
The UK ended it. Well, England ended it first, right? They did do it before
France
us.
Actually did.
Did France? Okay, so we have France, England, and then the US, and then China 800 years before that, which came back. So what, or 500? I don't know. I don't know that particular period of history. I'm not an expert in Chinese history.
There's actually a
but-
list you can find on Wiki.
Oh, I'm sure about how
Yeah.
America is really evil because we didn't do it absolutely first.
Well, no,
but
just
we
a list
did.
of when countries implemented manumission.
Anti-slavery legislation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but slavery is illegal in the United States today, isn't it? It's been illegal for over 100 years. So we're doing all right, I guess.
Because it says one blasphemy the French was ending slavery before the England. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did, because that was a if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, probably.
Well, the Tocqueville
yeah.
talks about it definitely in
Right,
Democracy
right.
of America.
Oh, what a great book, by the way. One of my favorites.
Well, if you want to read 900 pages or whatever it is, but yeah, I agree.
I love the Tocqueville. Fascinating to understand early America.
All right, I'll let you read this one.
Many white people did things they never should have done. Sure, so did many black people. A bank loan denied opportunity. Notice of eviction, denied housing. Maybe you should have paid your bills. Voter registration test. Oh, that was a thing for a while. That's true, though. Not currently, though. Yeah, but voter registration test, parts A, B, C, pages 1 through 4, sections 1 through 20. Denied voting rights. Is that the thing you want to bring up, though? The voter registration test, and not the fact that black people and women just couldn't vote for a long time until there were amendments? All right. Many other white people failed to see the problem with this. Exploited the love and labor of black women. Yes, ma'am. These choices put wealth and power into white hands, homes, and neighborhoods.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, these are issues, by the way. I mean, these are obvious issues. Black people being denied opportunity, being evicted and denied housing, and not being allowed to vote. Yeah, those are issues.
3 generations ago, though.
Generations ago.
3, about 2 or 3, I would say.
2 or
Not
3,
today.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some people might remember them that are still alive, but
in the United States, now don't get me wrong, we're very economically oppressed anymore, but we used to have a high amount of economic liberty. And in the United States, there is a lot of movement within the 5 quintiles, that is of economic earners, and a lot of people hit that upper first quintile in their lifetime for at least a year. So it's not like we don't have economic mobility in this nation, and black people can't catch up. And that's the problem with this thinking, is that they never consider that you can actually catch up. And also, because of the economic mobility, a lot of people, even though they might start off wealthier with their parents, aren't wealthy afterwards when they get off on their own, right? When they're starting off in the world, unless their parents are, obscenely rich.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I found out something really cool about the next page.
Okay.
But through a quick Google search, sorry. Some white people joined the leaders of the Black Liberation, which is starred for some reason. Oh, liberation equals love plus freedom.
Does it?
I thought it was just freedom.
I don't really remember my Latin, but I know that liber is a Latin word
Libertas.
for freedom. Yeah.
Libertas, freedom.
Yeah.
There's no love involved in that inherently. Angela Grimke and Sarah Grimke, 1838, abolitionists, suffragists, not suffragettes, suffragists. Suffragettes must be sexist, I suppose.
It is, yes, of course.
Sisters, Julian Bond and members of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, 1963. Let me read from Wikipedia now. In 1964, a COFO conference in New York, Bob Mosses had to see 2 challenges to the SNCC, that's that group, a future role in Mississippi. First, they had to defend the SNCC's red-baiting insistence on free association. The NAACP had threatened to pull support of COFO if the SNCC continued to engage in the services of the Communist Party. I knew it. I looked it up out of a whim. I just saw this image that they put on the page. I was like, these are commies. They're commies.
Isn't it funny that the people that are so anti-slavery want to enslave the entire world?
Oh, I just guessed. I guessed that they were commies.
Really weird.
Oh, sorry. That really tickled me. That actually gave me a real good hearty chuckle. I was sorry about that. That deeply amused me. Who's Nina Simone? I don't know who she is. I don't know who these people are.
Nina Simone's a singer.
Oh, yeah. Nuns and fellow marchers on the Selma to Montgomery, March 1965. John Lewis and fellow demonstrators kneel 1962. Colin Kaepernick kneels 2017. I feel like some of these things are not like the others. Is it just me?
What? Yeah.
Just saying. I think demonstrators in 1962 are not the same thing as Colin Kaepernick.
Right. I was about to say, what does
me?
Colin Kaepernick's multi-million-dollar NFL contract and him basically knowing that he was going to be kicked, making political statements have to do with because he just wasn't a good enough player?
No, that's why he was being kicked, because he wasn't.
What does that have to do with these people who were having trouble voting or making
people who actually were trying to fight for civil rights during the civil rights era? I'm not talking about these commies on the left, but these people who, over the course of history, have tried to fight for civil rights. What the hell does that have to do with Colin Kaepernick, who pulled this stunt because he was getting fired because he was a shitty player? Bullshit. Sorry.
All right, next.
Irritated. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting irritated. Racism is still happening, of course. It keeps changing and keeps being the same. It changes conveniently, so you can define everything as racism. And yet, just being here, alive in this moment, you have a chance to care about this, to connect. But connecting means opening, and opening sometimes feels. Our car is parked over here, love. Like breaking. Well, I don't understand this.
This is a really abstract book for a child.
Is this supposed to be like talking to black people is painful? Maybe if you're white and you hate yourself, that's the message, right? If you're white and you hate yourself.
It says, but connecting means opening, and opening sometimes feels like breaking. So yeah, it is. It's white guilt. It's pushing the idea of white guilt, which is nonsense, in my opinion. Like, why should you feel guilty about people you don't know did things that you don't agree with?
This poor child is distressed. Mom, I don't feel good. Uh-oh, should I pull over? I need to know what's going on. What are you talking about? Why didn't anyone teach me real history? I do see color. I see yours and mine and everybody's. Oh, so good. You've created a racist. You can't hide what's right in front of me. Like, by the way, like, people do see color, okay? But this is insane. Like, she's saying, I feel sick. We need to pull over because I'm so sick because I discovered.
Why is she acting like a 14-year-old?
And maybe she's supposed to be 14. I don't know.
I don't think she is. This is a kid's book for elementary kids.
7-year-olds, yeah.
Yeah. That's the level of connection that the author has to children, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this person does not have children.
Oh, no, not in any way, shape, or form. I remember having to talk to my daughter. I never talked to my daughter, never said a bad word about her mom ever. And my daughter finally, around 12 or 13, started talking to me about stuff with her mom. And I was like, look, I don't want to talk bad about your mom and da-da-da-da. And she goes, but she says all this stuff about you. And da-da-da. I said, look, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. But I knew that you would one day come to me, you would be old enough, and these would be issues that you would have, and we would discuss it. And we did, and whatever. But that's not something that a young child is like, brewing in their minds. Mom says all this bad stuff about dad, and dad must be evil, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Just ignore it because she knows me. She knew me at the end. And she got mad about it later when she was able to abstract things more.
Mm-hmm.
So just as a personal example, guys.
This seems odd for a 7-year-old, though, I would say.
Yes. Well, that was kind of my point, though. It's like,
right, yeah.
My daughter went through this thing. She realized that as she was older, as she hit puberty. Kids do not think it so abstractly for her to sit there, for a child that's like 7 years old, as you said, Aydin, to say, I do see color. I see yours and mine and everybody's. You can't hide what's right in front of me. That's very
also this idea that parents are hiding this stuff from their kids.
Well, rather than has like an IQ of like 165 or something.
Clearly.
Yes.
She's got a real big brain. More like parents aren't hiding it from you. They don't. Why would you introduce a 7-year-old. They can't understand that kind of stuff at that age. They can't understand the complexities of the world. Why would you try to introduce it to them? It doesn't make any sense. They're not hiding it from you. That I would be very concerned for the children that these kinds of people have. They're going to be traumatized, I would imagine, emotionally, right? From this crap?
Well,
I would think
yes,
so.
and this is what I think is a large part of what we've been seeing for a long time
Yeah.
is this infliction of emotional trauma from strangers onto your
Mhm.
children. We do this through the schools. We do this through academia. We do this
Mhm.
by putting people in even daycare. You're outsourcing your responsibility to other folks, and it's quite dangerous, folks. And I'm going to show you. I have a bunch of articles here. Not everyone on earth. You can find it yourself. But I have a bunch of articles here why you should be concerned about those things, not just about what they're teaching, but what they're doing physically with your child, emotionally. And look, the bottom line is if you think that people who don't have any sort of accountability or emotional connection to your child are going to do a better job at raising them than you, then you're a lost cause in the first place. you know?
I mean, to be fair, I understand why. First, because of feminism. First of all, it is feminism's fault that we now need both men and women to work. So now women can't stay at home and take care of children. But I do understand then why both partners feel the need. I mean, they have to support their family, and then they go, "What are we supposed to do? How do we take care of our child?" And they feel forced into the system, and that's really screwed up in and of itself. But that's a different subject. So she screams, "I know what that police officer did was wrong." All right. Well, that's debatable. We could talk about it. We have a conversation. Go with your instincts on this one. Racial justice is possible. So this book is saying argue with your parents and go with your instincts, aka what this book is telling you, which is not instincts, it's learned. Okay, geez, you don't have to yell, but only if we're honest with each other and ourselves. All right. Wait a minute. So this 7-year-old just gets out of the car and runs away?
Nice.
Oh, no. She says, "I see a playground over there. Want to get some air." Yes. Runs out. Okay.
Is that like hellfire in the background? What is that?
It's a tree.
That doesn't look like a tree I know.
It's a fall tree. Yeah, it's got
Sure.
yellow leaves. It does look like hellfire. I find this weird highlighting of letters and words very bizarre, and it doesn't seem to mean anything. Your history is not all written yet. What do you want it to say? So, oh my God, activities. Oh no,
Wasn't there
here's the
still both about
activities.
how history was written already?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, history is not all written yet, of course. History is ongoing. But what do you want to say? That does kind of imply revisionist history, doesn't it?
That's what I was just saying. This explaining to us the history, whether it's true or false, isn't it saying this is the actual account of things? So,
Well, I guess they're saying history is ongoing, so you can change it or whatever. I do think it's funny that they brought up that communist group that got thrown out of the NAACP because they were commies, but that's just me.
I didn't hear about that. Is that recently?
Oh,
Are
I
you
brought
talking
it up
about-
a minute ago. It was in the book here.
Oh, I'm
Here-
sorry. I'm switching back and forth between us, the chat,
Oh,
and
no problem.
trying to bring up other articles.
This group back here, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
Oh yeah. You did mention.
Yeah,
that.
they were the commies. They got thrown out. That's just funny to me. We have activities here, though. We should. Do you want to do the activities?
Activities. Want to know whose liberation you are fighting for? Your own. What? Well, yeah. White supremacy has been lying to kids for centuries. White supremacy is pretend.
For centuries.
What? But the
White supremacy is
what?
Hang on, I'm actually stupefied by that statement.
Yeah.
White supremacy is pretend, so that means there aren't white supremacists. But the consequences are real. That implies there are. Oh, okay. Never mind. I get it. I get it. Sorry. They're saying the idea of white people being superior is pretend. They're trying to put it in childish language that makes it kind of weird to understand.
Well, that's the first time they've done that.
Right. Yeah, they're like weird that they would do that. Dangerous. The gun is dangerous. Black people not. Oh my God! Look at this at the bottom.
The truth is much simpler. Dangerous, not dangerous.
White person holding a gun, assumably white because it's not colored in. Black people's hands not dangerous.
It's funny because I was a Marine, and I carry a gun like every day, and I've never killed anybody. Just saying.
I've known many servicemen and women who've never killed anybody, and also guns don't kill people, but also hands can kill somebody. Okay, just saying. Hands can do a lot of things.
I can show you about 50 ways how to break someone's neck. So,
just saying.
No, not joking. I mean, I actually can.
I'm sure you can. Hands, regardless of color, can kill somebody. You ding dong. Referring to the book, of course. That's really stupid. So, here's the infamous page. Yeah, that we already covered. Just to read it, though, whiteness is a bad deal. It always was. Dude, we can see your pointy tail. Contract binding you to whiteness. You get stolen land, stolen riches, special favors. Whiteness gets to mess endlessly with the lives of your friends, neighbors, loved ones, and fellow humans of color, in all caps. And your soul. For the purpose of profit. Hang on, though. I find that weird. To mess with endlessly. That's not to mess with. Like how? Mess with is such a strange verb.
To mess with?
Mess with, what does that mean? If you were going to say to kill or to harm, the harm would make sense. But to mess?
To mess endlessly with your lives, the lives of your friends, neighbors. I guess meaning that they're just trying to screw with you, to mess things up for you.
Right. So Whitey's just fucking around, basically.
Yeah.
He's not just... This is so bizarre. Sign below. Land, riches, and favors may be revoked at any time for any reason. So, in other words, it doesn't matter that white people don't seem to have power around you. They signed this contract with the devil. Doesn't matter that white people are poor. They're all still evil because they all signed this demon contract. That's bizarre to me. I mean, we know what that means. You can be white without signing on to whiteness. This is awful. This is truly fucking evil, dude. This whole thing, this is actually, this is evil. Do you want to read the next page? I'm smoking a cigarette. What the fuck,
Says
dude?
Julian Hampton Morgan. Do not mess with me. Born 1914, died 1957. Was a white librarian who fought for racial justice in Montgomery, Alabama. When Juliet was riding the bus and the white driver would refuse to pick up the black bus rider, even after he collected their fees. Well, that's a jerk thing, regardless. But
yeah, that's racist. Okay.
Well, I mean,
or unfair.
But he took their money, and it's like you can't have a ride either. That's
fucked up. Anyone
I don't care what color skin you are. I mean, obviously his motivations were racist, but
exactly, that's fucked up. End of story.
Juliet would pull the emergency cord and raise the. I guess it's hard for me to read that. The HE
double hockey sticks. Raise hell
until the driver did his job. This was an act of love for her and for the community to which she belonged. What she did is called disrupting white supremacy.
Weird how it says do not mess with me, which is, don't tread on me. That's a libertarian. Right. I don't
No, don't tread on me. It's white supremacy.
I know. I find it weird that they would paraphrase a white supremacist phrase like that. Are they going to paraphrase Molan Labe yet? Next, let's see. Grow justice inside yourself like a bean sprout in a milk carton. What if it dies? Plant it again. Never stop planting justice. What the fuck does that mean? What does it mean?
Uh,
A strong internal sense of justice will not fail you, even when a lack of justice in the world does. Alrighty. Whoa, innocence is overrated. Yikes. That's a big yikes from me. I don't usually like that word because it seems to be the left's favorite word. But
what?
that's a big yikes for me. Yikes.
Sorry, I'm looking at other things. Innocence is overrated. Knowledge is power. Color this in. Okay.
Get some.
Grow wise. Make history.
What do you mean by get some?
Well, usually
knowledge. Okay, no, sorry, I misunderstood. It's not exactly clear.
Yeah, but
get some sounds like
that means two things to me. That means
get some sounds like you're gonna fight.
Yeah, or go get some tail because I'm a guy.
You're gonna go get some, right?
Yeah.
Weird. But I mean, it's a kid's book. Although I don't know, innocence is overrated is horrifying. It's a horrifying phrase. Yikes. Yeah, that's a strong yikes for me.
Yeah, I mean, I knew this was garbage anyway, so I done watched the video.
Sorry it took us so long because the video, I'm sure, is like 20 minutes. We spent like an hour.
It's like 10 minutes. But
okay, so it was like 10 minutes. We spent like an hour.
I don't care. You're you're on my show. You can.
Well, I thought we had it in. Now we had it in HD. We got to read it ourselves.
Well, there you go. Let's say you're my show. You brought it on, and you want to talk about it. Fine, whatever. Not a big
it was
deal.
a topic. I'd never problem buying it. Because now I have it in HD. So if I want to talk about it in a video, I sure can too. Anyway.
So that was the last page, Aiden?
That was the last page.
All right. I'm going to pull up some other stuff here.
Go ahead.
I think I'm just going to share my monitor. I don't need audio for any of this. Just a few articles. So guys, when I was saying about understanding what's going on in all this and watching our schools, we have to understand that this isn't the only issue, right? It's not just CRT, it's sexual abuse. Obviously, you have drag queen story hour. You have
that horrible thing in Blue's Clues. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. In fact, we played it on the Justify the Memes.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, briefly.
Sure, yeah.
I played a video meme of it because it shows that there's actually a pedophile flag in there as well.
Well, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it sure looks like it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we have the head of an elite Catholic school is fired over sexual misconduct. Now, I'm not really wanting to get into the weeds of this article. I just want to show you a bunch of articles. So here we have a private school. New York City educator faces fury over her methods for teacher causing education. Now, this just came out the other day. This woman was showing people pornography.
Yes, Tim did a video about this I watched earlier. Was it Tim? Yeah. Who did? Someone did a video about this earlier. This is messed up. Yeah,
Tim did do a video, but part of who she was teaching were teenage kids, so maybe not as bad, but also not appropriate.
Well, I guess how old were they? Were they like 16?
16, 17. Still not appropriate.
All right. I mean, not appropriate. I agree. Sex ed is taught at that age though, but this in particular stuff was really gross from what I heard about it. It was like how to masturbate,
Yes. So I didn't quite get these in order, but I believe these were the same school. So another
really? Oh wow!
Plummeted by critical race theory. So this was from April, and it says there's a lot of trouble afoot by my alma mater.
No, not the Jesuits. My boys. What are you doing?
I know.
I'm a big fan of the Jesuits. I know that people don't get mad at me for that, but I'm a big fan of the Jesuits. I went to a Jesuit institution. That's deeply disconcerting.
I'm not mad at you about that, Aiden. I just think that there are deeper, darker secrets to the Jesuits, despite the surface level in which you experienced that was joyous. That's all.
I loved my Jesuit professors. They were the best.
They're highly, highly influential, at least in Georgetown, with our foreign policy and the American government.
Did I talk to you about my experience at a Jesuit institution?
Yes, briefly, I believe. You said that you had a father that would say, "Hey, Saint" to you every day.
Yes,
or-
yes, yes. That was
Yeah.
Father B. Yeah, he was lovely. Yeah, I did tell you about. I wasn't because I go on a whole bunch of podcasts. I can't, or who I tell these fucking stories to
Right.
sometimes because I'm
No doubt.
old. I'm getting too old to remember. But yeah, he was wonderful. I thought it was you though. But yeah, he was fantastic, and I loved my institution. So that's too bad.
Well, but a lot of people that go into the Catholic Church, the Catholic faith,
Yeah.
are are homosexuals. It's a way for them to have some sort of out, I guess. I don't know. The Catholic Church has had lots of corruption for basically its entire existence.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
I mean, seriously, like the first anti-pope was Hippolytus. This was at the end of the 2nd century. So there were 2 popes by then.
Right.
And the one that was considered the Pope, who was just the Bishop of Rome. Pope wasn't really a title at the time, but the one that was considered a Pope, he was allowing his congregates to sleep with their slaves because they're basically like wives anyways. So, which was completely antithetical to anything taught by Christ, but sure. So these things happened very early on, but in any case, just again, a bunch of articles. A private school sex ed educator defends her methods. Again, this was the one that Tim talked about from the other day.
Yeah.
Defends her methods. I'm going to show porn.
I'm sorry. Come on now. Like I understand teaching sex ed, but I mean, I took sex ed. I don't know if you had to take it in high school.
Showed videos though to young
They
children.
did show videos, but they were not sexy. They were not.
No, I mean, she showed apparently videos to kids about masturbation that were quite
like
young.
Porn. Oh no.
I don't know if they were porno, but they were something.
WHO guidelines state that between the ages of 5 and 8, children should learn to identify the critical parts of the internal and external genitals and describe their basic function, and recognize that being curious about one's body, including genitals, is completely normal. I had books when I was a kid that were like, it's okay to like that were just kind of, they were really, really kiddie books, and they were just about like basic anatomy. So I don't know how wrong that is. And they were like basic books, but like, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina, and they didn't call it that way. They were just, these are books that were made like the 80s, right? So, and I think that, and they were very, very anti-sexual, I would say. But it was part of a series of books that I had. I had a whole big series. They were all about science. It was a big series of children's books that were all, about science. And so some of them were about biology, some of them were about space, some of them were about dinosaurs, and it was all kinds of stuff. I don't think that's necessarily wrong, but
here's my thing.
Your parents should teach you about that. Your parents should be teaching you and at home.
Kids ask when they're young. You tell them the basics. You don't need to go into it. I honestly don't. I'm not a big proponent of sex ed. Not because I'm Christian or something. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think that people figure it out naturally pretty well.
Right. But parents should be in charge of this. This is a very private conversation.
Yes. And I think that for a lot of folks, it's just a matter of talking to your child openly from the beginning. I don't think I've ever had to have a full detailed conversation with my daughter, just because I have a kind of relationship, my older daughter, who's nearly 17, because we've had this relationship over the years where we have this open discourse and dialogue. So she did get sex education in public school. Now, Fiona, the daughter I just had, she will not be going to school. She'll be homeschooled.
Right.
But
good. Best choice at this point, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, if I had the resources, I would have done that with Brianna, but it just was not possible. Sam, by the way, I was talking to Sam in the chat. He got something taken out of the YouTube. I was asking about your super chat over in Entropy. So I don't think I read this. From the high school I went to, there was a recent scandal. They got a 17-year-old student. Oh, it was the one before that I saw. So you just sent me another. Okay, to blow a dildo in front of the crowd. I believe it was how porn degrades women talk, hence making the guy do that. That's just insane. I think I would probably assault somebody and spend the night in jail over that. The other one he said, kids, ignore your parents, get your entire worldview from the first book you read.
Yeah.
Don't ask your grandparents for Minecraft. they may get confused and bring you a certain bad book. Did you see that?
Oh, that's great.
There's a video of a guy, he asked for Minecraft and his grandfather gives him Mein Kampf.
Yeah, well, I got them.
Yeah, I'm just saying if anyone didn't see it. So, and as for this statement here with the Who, screw the Who. I don't know why.
Oh, for real though. At this point, well, no,
I don't know why you're listening to them.
You're about to get shut down. You got to believe everything the Who says.
Yeah, whatever.
Including when they contradict themselves, but whatever.
So here's back to the CRT stuff. It says parents in Collier County heated at school board meeting after claims that textbooks teach critical race theory.
And this is in Loudoun County as well. Yeah.
Right.
In,
right.
Maryland?
I was just in Loudoun County yesterday.
Right. Yeah. Wait, is Loudoun County in Virginia or Maryland? You're right near there, though.
It's Virginia.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's one county between us, Jefferson County, which is small.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's exactly where you are then. Haha. Now I'm zooming in.
I'm in Berkeley County. I've told you this before. You just you don't remember.
No, I don't.
I'll have you on more often.
My brain's like a sieve, dude. except for data. Like, it's the only thing that I retain. Everything else is just... and it's not to be mean. It's not about everything. If I was a worse person, I'd just blame autism. But no, it's just my brain's a sieve.
Right.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm not offended in any way. I mean, I am kind of a super recognizer in some ways. If you know what that is, a lot of people don't. Where I can recognize people. I'll see them once and I'll see them again. I'm like, I know that person somewhere. But I'm
stuff I can't do.
I'm terrible with names. I know I will have.
Yeah, me too.
I know I've met somebody. I know them somewhere. You know, most people they'll meet somebody once randomly or see them in a store or a restaurant or a class or something. Never even realize that they saw that person. I will. Yeah. I will know that I saw them. It's weird. But if someone gives me their name, I will forget your name like 2 seconds after you tell me.
I have neither one of these skills. I won't know that I saw you before, and I won't remember your name. And it is not a slight. It's just brain like a sieve. It's only trying to retain freaking regression analyses. I don't know. That's just what my brain decides.
It's what you're geared toward. There's so many different approaches, Aydin. I mean, that's the great thing about.
Well, memory is different for different people.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, it's not meant to be rude. And I feel like sometimes it comes off that way, but that's not intentional. Because then it's like people are like, how do you remember all these numbers? And it's like, well, I don't know.
Okay, but I talked about this, about rudeness lately with my wife and some family and all, because, you know, when you have a newborn, a lot of people like to hold the newborn. But some people get offended when you don't hold their baby, which I think is absurd.
Yeah, I've always found that very weird.
Yeah, so they're like, "Do you want to hold the baby? Do you want to hold the baby?" And I'm pretty sure Larry David did a whole scene and
he did
about this. Yeah, it's like, why do you want to force someone to hold your baby if they're uncomfortable? Do you want them to drop your baby?
Like, well, that's so. Okay, so my personal experience is that I know way too much about child psychology, probably to ever have children. I'd like to, I guess, at some point. Probably not going to be able to happen because of other issues, but biological ones with me. But that I talked about, so people know about it. So whatever. But when people like my family would be like, "Do you want to hold a baby? Do you want to?" And I would be like, "Oh," and freak out because I'm so terrified that I would do something mildly wrong and cause some permanent psychological damage, like hold their head slightly low or or they cry and then I wouldn't know what to do and freak out. I've told this story. I'll tell it real quick again. Is that I taught Japanese for years to very, very young children I taught Japanese for years. And then I also worked with children who went to my mom's school who were native Japanese speakers who didn't speak English. And one time, the worst time, normally they were fine. Like normally when I would go talk to students who were native Japanese speakers and didn't speak English, and I would come in and be like, Ohio or whatever. And I talked to them, they would like that because it would be like, oh, there's a person here who can understand me and who I can talk to. And they're 4-year-olds. So like, how much are they going to say anyway? But not a lot of in-depth conversation, right? But enough that my level of Japanese is adequate. And I remember the last time I did it, though, is I walked in. This girl was basically nonverbal. She was 4 years old. She was basically nonverbal. She was verbal at home with her parents, but at school, she didn't speak any English. Sorry, this is a total tangent. But I went in, though, and I started talking to her in Japanese, and I was like, if you want, we can do some coloring. We could read a book. We could read together. And she just started crying, and it's the worst experience. It might be the worst experience of my whole life because she was inconsolable afterwards. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck did I do to this child? Where I was just this child doesn't speak English and they have nobody to talk to at preschool. They're stuck in a preschool with all English speakers. And I was brought in specifically to try and speak to this child. And then they start crying inconsolably. And I thought, I fucked this child's whole life up. And apparently they did that all the time. I found out later, like apparently that was her behavior.
Sounds like you're highly neurotic, Aydin.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, about children, because I'm extreme, because they're so delicate in so many ways. You don't want to fuck them up. That's why I hate this CRT shit. Don't fuck up kids.
Right.
They're
No, I mean, I agree. Yeah. So this was.
Oh, sorry. I had a huge hang up about that for like 5 years.
Yeah. No. Here's just a Tennessee parent group who's concerned about the Ruby Bridges Goes to School, which highlights the first Black child to integrate to New Orleans school. As the debate around critical race theory continues, a group of parents in Tennessee are expressing their disapproval of various teaching tools.
Right, yeah.
And again, this is Yahoo News. They're pretty benign. They're neutral, generally, if anything, leaning left. Mostly just reprinting other articles. But here we have, again, trusting these teachers. This is older, and there are all kinds of incidences of this, but we have, LHS teacher, football coach accused of showing porn, allowing disturbing acts in class.
Ugh.
And again, we have here, substitute teacher had sex with football player student, 17 on her first day during pep rally. And he then sent the video to his friends. This was
this was kind of funny though, right?
Yeah.
Because he like got back at her essentially.
But she's 22, he's 17.
To be fair.
I don't really care either, but at the same time, inappropriate. She's in a position of power.
She's in a power position. Yes,
Yep.
That's the issue. I'm not one of those people who has people who are like, the day you turn 18, you can screw whoever. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I agree legally, but if you've been dating since, I do like Romeo and Juliet laws only because like if you're 17 and then your girlfriend turns 19 or vice versa, the day that they turn that age, come on now, like let's not crucify children a little bit. I understand the legality, but let's try to put our rational hats on here. They're only like 2 years apart. It doesn't suddenly make one an abuser just because a day changed. Apparently, right. I think that might be a very controversial opinion, but I said it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm 11 years older than my wife, so.
But that's what I mean, though. Like these like people who on YouTube, people get really upset. Like, oh, they were 19 and talking to a 17 and a half-year-old. Like,
well, there's a problem with people in the definition of pedophilia. People who are pubescent,
right? Like
people that are attracted to 14-year-old girls are not pedophiles. They might be out of line.
A phebophile is, I believe, the right word.
What?
A phebophile?
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's like post-pubescent, but they're still really young. The 14-year-old stuff I feel very uncomfortable with. If you're 17 and the person's 19, if you're 17 and the person is 40, yeah, I think that's an issue.
I'm not right. I'm not comfortable with 14-year-olds either. I'm just saying it's not the same thing as being attracted to children.
Yeah, I do think that they're different things.
Is a young adult, in my opinion.
Right.
Anyone before puberty is a child, and a 14-year-old, generally, depending, are going to have some sexual desires because of puberty. That's the way it works, right?
Well, I don't know. I didn't.
Maybe you didn't. I don't know.
No, I was like 18. I was like 18 or 19. I was like 18 personally, but that was me personally. So I mean, but everybody's different. Everybody's different. Some people develop differently. My only issue is that I don't want to criminalize people who are 2 years apart during that like 17 to 19 or 16 to 18 year gap. I think that's a little bit silly.
Right. Most states in the U.S. it's 17 or 16 is the age of consent, and there's nothing There's no 2-year gap law or anything like that. That's just the age of consent.
I mean, there's some states though where the age of consent is 18,
Right.
and that's got to be really an annoying. Well, I guess if you're both underage, right? Then there's
Depends on the
no
parents if
law.
they want to prosecute statutory rape or not.
Oh, that's right, they can. Like
Yeah.
that's bizarre to me because I don't know. That's degeneracy too.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, here's the thing: is you get into these. The reality is, I'm just going to flat say it. Guys like young women. They like women that are around
Of course.
college age, and that's the best age for women to reproduce.
Get
Honestly,
pregnant. Yeah. So yeah, you're looking at the 18-year-old woman, and I see no issue with guys looking at, what are the websites like? Barely 18, just turned 18. That I get it. Okay,
and half of that are 20-year-old guys looking at that too.
Well, true, but genetically and evolutionarily, that's why guys look at that stuff, because those are like the prime fertile women. It makes sense. I'm not offended.
Men,
and if they're legal, come on, it's fine.
Right. Men also don't gain status or really have true sexual maturity until we get older. So there's an imbalance between the sexes. There's an inverse, actually.
Right. Yeah. Women mature intellectually. Well, I mean, how much women mature intellectually is questionable. But sorry, that's a dig. But women mature intellectually faster than men do, and there's a reason for that, because women are supposed to have children when they're 18.
Right.
Biologically, yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Not saying you need to. I'm not trying to put a prescriptive on people. Sorry, I got done with a long debate last night, as I said before, where I have to like hedge every word I say. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine, Aydin. I mean, yeah. I mean, look. I mean, we're going all over the place here, but it's fine. I love conversation. I have no need to have this show like zoned in to be exactly on this beat and that beat and whatever else. It's perfectly fine.
Well, I'm always eclectic, so that's what you get with me. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am myself. I just tend to, I don't know. I tend to focus in on specific things, and then I go off on my own weeds and my own tangents. You're doing it for me, so it's okay.
Okay. Well, this sexual predatory stuff against children, it's been going on for forever. And by the way, who is doing it 9 times out of 10? Is it men? Or is it women doing this on teenagers in schools?
Well, it's both.
Now.
It's both.
It is both. It is both. But I would say in the last maybe 10 or 15 years, it's predominantly been women predating on children.
Well, and I would speculate the reason why that is because we have basically tried to emasculate men and then raise level to the worst parts of men, right? To tell them to be degenerate and overly sexualized and aggressive and all those things. Mm-hmm. So in that...
Yeah, so young men who have been over-sexualized are then going for these... they can't, because they don't have agency. Not the same way that an adult does. So I don't know how much it is the young men who are over-sexualized and how much it is these young teachers, young female teachers, relatively young, 20, 25, 30, predating. And they are predators, let's be very clear. I don't care if you're 22. I mean, it's close. That's a little bit close. But
in this case, so
25, 30, come on.
The teacher got off in this case. This is the article.
Yeah,
it's the same one.
In multiple ways.
But she... Look,
sorry.
She probably liked this young guy, probably spit some game at her. He's a football star, whatever it was. I don't know. And those things happen. But again, this is because the feminine mindset isn't, oh, I should be more prudent with my sexuality and not so liberal. A lot of what we've done in our society, in Western society, is actually taken women's sexuality instead of, bolstering it to be something that's special between a special individual. We've gone and said, it's not only a weapon, but it's your entire world, your sexuality. And this is how you're going to get a guy. This is how you're going to get wealthy. This is how you're going to get this, how you're going to get that.
Yeah, women's entire worth, which is thanks feminism, by the way.
Yeah.
Feminism has made women's entire worth be their sexuality, which is bizarre because, women, I know, like before we were quote unquote liberated, women had worth outside of that, being mothers, being homemakers, being able to cook, being able to take care of a home. These are all noble virtues that women could hold that everyone in society did value, Maybe not as much as going out and being a breadwinner, but absolutely did. They recognized them as things that were necessary for the function of the family home. You needed both parts. That's gone now.
Yeah. So I showed this on the Ancestry memes the other day. Feminism let women become whatever they want, and so many of them still picked prostitute. My bad. I meant entrepreneurs.
Well, it makes them money. I mean, obviously.
Right.
Perhaps there's a video. That Twitch stuff is very interesting because the thoughts are very mad. And the thing is, Twitch has put themselves in a very, sorry to go off another tangent, but Twitch has put themselves in a fascinating conundrum where there's nothing they can do because Twitch is super progressive and super woke. And they ban anyone for anything that's even, they banned Destiny for a while just for saying something mildly unwoke. Like they ban anyone for saying anything that's just not in line with the propaganda. And now they have to keep being like, well, you shouldn't be, sitting in a hot tub in your bikini, reading off chats and writing names on your titties. Maybe that probably because by the way, let's be very clear. To sign up for Twitch, you need to confirm that you are 13 years old. I think if you look at the demographics of Twitch, if people were being honest about their ages, the average age is probably like 15, 16. And these are adult women on there basically doing softcore porn. So they got rid of the hot tub streams, and then they moved it into the ear licking, slapping their butts or with their butt in the camera, and that was the meta after that. How is this a gaming website? Here's what I don't get. Why doesn't Twitch just make an 18 plus section? Like any other porn site. Just say this is the 18 plus. I know that it's not because they would lose advertisers. I know that's why, but it's ridiculous.
I don't
Just make
really
an 18 plus
understand the whole thing why they even kick anyone off. I mean, I watch It's a Gundam a lot. Gundam does,
Yeah, I do too. I love Gundam.
Yeah, he covers this stuff all the time. I watch it for entertainment mostly, but it is true, and it is this female privilege that has come about. They had to do this, though. I talk about this a lot. They had to raise the woman up who is generally more emotional, more neurotic than men who are a little bit more cold and calculated and logical. And they had to do that because without male leadership, or with male leadership, I would say, they couldn't get any of this stuff across that they're trying to get across. Now with women basically being in leadership positions, they can do anything that's an emotional appeal to infantilize the society and then get them basically on the dole, basically make them slaves. Well, look, I mean, we are all slaves, folks. If you don't think that, look, the Great Reset is currently happening.
Oh, it's happening. We're all fucking slaves.
If you think that you are a free person, like in the truest sense, in our governments, you're a free person, and they can just go and buy up all the housing, inflate the money, lock down everybody, and you think you're free, you're a delusional individual. You really are.
Well, I don't know if it's delusion. It's maybe nice, happy lies we tell ourselves.
Normalcy bias.
Yeah, normalcy bias. I think it's also that people don't want to recognize. People don't want to be nihilistic, and it's a very nihilistic view of the world. It might be accurate, but it's nihilistic nonetheless.
Yeah, there's some. I want to get into the that video we were talking about the coming for your kids thing.
Yeah, let's do that real quick. If you don't mind, I'm going to use the restroom and grab some water because I'm out of water. So I will be right back.
Go for that because I can play some other stuff. Go ahead and take a break.
Yes, go ahead. I'll be right back. It'll be like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Bye-bye.
All right, no worries.
We'll be right back. I know I said bye-bye. Hang on.
To another epidemic.
All right, guys. So just you and I for the moment. So here is a little clip from old Cuomo about flattening the curve of gun violence.
We went from COVID to the epidemic of gun violence. Step one, treat it like a public health issue.
So treat it like a public health issue. That means put all the gun violence in nursing homes.
We know how to deal with an epidemic.
By putting all the guns in nursing homes.
What we want to say is we want to do with gun violence what we just did with COVID.
We want to put it all in the nursing homes.
2, get smart. Use science, like we did on COVID. How did we attack COVID?
Well, we just put it in a bunch of nursing homes is what we did.
We mapped it, and we found out where it was, and we found the clusters. And then we attacked the clusters. You can do the same thing.
Except for the nursing home clusters. We just bolstered those up.
With gun violence. Step 4, break the cycle of escalating violence. Like COVID, gun violence spreads like a virus. And I want them to respond.
Like COVID, we're going to take the people who are doing gun violence and we're going to remove them from the hospital and put them in nursing homes.
Respond to the emergency for the way it is. So today, first state in the nation is going to declare a disaster emergency on gun violence.
Bam! Ending gun violence. All right, guys, let me see here. Let me see. We check entropy real quick. Roll through here. Don't ask how I know this, but Twitch still does pull beach. Weren't everyone about ready to put Cuomo at the end of the road? Cuomo solves gun violence. Send Crips and Bloods to train the BlackRock. There you go. Let's see. Let's remove that. I got another one here I wanted to play. This one we got to save for Aydin. It's coming up. What was the other thing I wanted to use, man? Ah, okay. So I will do this.
Okay, got my seltzer. Sorry about that. I can't. My voice was dying if you couldn't tell. I can only talk so long without water.
Oh, no worries. I'm constantly drinking water. I just played a little video of Andy Cuomo talking about curing gun violence, like they did COVID. So I just kept pausing it and saying,
you know, like he cured the old people problem in New York,
right? By putting the gun violence in nursing homes. But
yeah, no, I wouldn't call it gun violence. It's something you put in nursing homes. Oh, that's cancelable, I'm sure, by YouTube standards.
Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
I will be fine. So before we get to the song itself.
Oh God, I've heard it so many times and it's so awful. Oh, here is this their did you see their retraction or their response?
I saw part of it, yes.
It's stupid. But
yeah. So this was interesting because this was the first thing I read about it after I saw it yesterday. And that is San Francisco Gaming Chorus Convert Your Children song claim. San Francisco Gaming Chorus literally saying they'll convert your children or are coming for your children. Rating
spelled coming wrong, by the way, but okay.
What's that?
I said they spelled coming wrong, but okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was a very awful joke.
Decontextualized is the rating from whatever this truth or fiction. So they're apologists for
Snopes wannabes, I guess.
Yeah. So then they bring up Dinesh D'Souza. Dinesh D'Souza tweeted and published a rumble.com video with the gay chorus. Okay.
Dinesh D'Souza is a bad man. Don't you know he went to prison for tax evasion?
As previously indicated, rumble.com videos are pre-packaged with an unskippable advertisement discouraging viewers from examining content before sharing it based on whatever Tinder, whatever that is.
Trendalizer.
Yeah, I don't really care. What I do know is that this guy posted it too. I have both the Rumble video and the Twitter links here, which you can find right there. Not that hard. There is no advertisement in the beginning. But anyways, they go on and go on and go on, and they list the actual lyrics. So it says, in honor of Pride Month, this past June, the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir released a song outlining how they'll convert your children. The song's title, A Message from the Gay Community, mocks parents that fear the push of the LGBTQ agenda in today's media. with the song claiming that parents wouldn't be able to protect their kids from the advances and ideas of the group. Not to be reported at the time of publishing the video has not been made now been made unavailable on YouTube. Now, from what I understand,
Yeah, I
the group
wonder
did that.
why.
I thought the group did that themselves.
They
'cause the
did, I
backlash.
thought. Oh,
Yeah.
they did not?
Yeah.
I think they did.
I'm pretty sure they did. One person wrote in the YouTube comment section, and just like that, victim status is revoked.
And just like that, one day, for no reason whatsoever, people voted Hitler into. I'm just saying, I kept seeing that response because, not agreeing with the quote, but this is kind of really nightmarish in Weimar, guys.
But it's right. It's the meme that who radicalized you? Well, you did.
You did.
You did. You're pushing this. If you would just go about your business and do your stupid gay stuff that you want to do, whatever, I don't care. Nobody cares. Don't say you're going to come after my kids, though, man. That's a whole nother issue, right?
This is the unbelievable thing. As someone who is bisexual and not ashamed of it or whatever, as someone who's dated women, and I don't think it's an issue, for my entire life, it was all like, well, why do you care? I mean, as a libertarian, it was always like, why do you care what gay people do in the privacy of their own bedrooms? And that's what I truly believe in. Still, I don't care what people do in the privacy of their own bedrooms. But that's not what's happening anymore. Now it's not just what we do in their bedrooms. We are coming for your children. And again, I'm saying coming could be spelled differently because I have. If you looked at some of the backgrounds of some of these people that are in this choir, they're sus as well.
Well, that's the clip I have, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'll play that in a minute. I just want to read through the lyrics real quick. So it says, you think we're sinful. You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect, but you're frightened. You think we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct.
Will corrupt your kids. That's correct. That's what they just did. Correct. They just said that's correct. Dude, bruh. We fought. Oh, it's 40 years of gay people trying to be normalized as not weirdo sex perverts. Thanks, San Francisco Gay Men's Choir.
Okay, but it's not just them. I mean, Pride and everyone else.
Oh no. Pride is hypersexual. That's my issue with Pride.
Nobody has an issue. Generally speaking, there might be some religious people that are
some extreme religious people who are like, yeah, gays are going to hell, but even them, I think, are just like, you're just going to go to hell. I hope you know it. Like that's all they're saying.
I mean, that's pretty much from my stance. It's if you're a liar, if you're a murderer, if you're a thief, all these things are wrong. I think homosexuality is wrong and that it's against the natural order. But I don't care.
Yeah, it's fine. Understandable. Have a good day.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still be your friend. I don't really care. And I would just tell you where I stand on it. It's like, I just think it's not in the natural order, but sure.
Completely logical, actually.
Yeah, live your life. Whatever.
But again, that's the whole thing. Do what you want. Don't touch children physically, obviously, or metaphorically, intellectually, philosophically. Don't just leave children alone. Their parents are the ones who are supposed to handle this shit. To teach them about this. You as a random stranger, fuck off. It's so weird. It's so bizarre. They said for years this is not what they were doing because the religious right in the 1990s said they're going to come for your kids. They're going to convert your children. And now they're just saying, yep, that's what we're doing. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't care if it's supposed to be satire. They say it.
And you know what, though? I hear that a lot from people your age. Tim Pool's used to say that a lot about the right. That was literally the religious right thing was like something from like the mid 70s into the early 90s, and that was it.
Yeah, they were a minor thing that existed for like 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
They have never described, conservatives in general, the far hardcore religious right people. They don't describe libertarians, obviously. I know people think libertarians a joke, and it's because we are, but but to be fair, but I mean, even general mainline conservatives were not. They just don't want people to mess with kids. You
should just be cool like me and call it classical liberalism, because that's what it is.
Classical liberalism is absolutely a fine. I'd use because
We don't need to reinvent the wheels. All I'm saying. I mean, I used to go by the libertarian thing forever myself, but no.
No, I am a libertarian. I basically think you should be able to own tactical nuclear warheads if you want.
I think classical liberalism allows for that. I mean,
I can have my Mick Nuke. Hell yeah.
The thing with classical liberalism is there are more authoritarian strains than others, so you have to look at it.
Right. Yeah, that's the issue. And I consult okay. I was actually making a joke with my fiance earlier, and I was saying, like, what's the most extreme stance I could say that I hold that wouldn't be completely incorrect? And I said, okay, I believe that you could define me as a libertarian minarcho parliamentary monarchist. Like, there you go. That's my ideal ideology. But the libertarian should just like leave other people alone, let them do what they want, as long as they don't hurt anyone else. And that is classical liberalism as well. This shit is actively, we are coming for your children. We are trying to hurt someone else. This is antithetical to liberal ideas. And I do mean liberal as in classical liberal and libertarian. Antithetical to it. Leave other people alone, for fuck's sake.
All right, obviously you guys can see this if you're watching. If you're not listening, it says, "Will convert your children." Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it.
Again, keeping the parents out of it, just like that book.
Yeah.
See that?
You can keep them from disco, warn about San Francisco, make them wear pleated pants. We don't care. We'll convert your children. We'll make them tolerant and fair. And then this is the apologist in this little article here.
Well, I'll apologize real quick for them. They're saying we just want to make them tolerant. In the last lines, every last line is make them tolerant, make them not hate. But every line in between is full of degenerate shit.
Right. Why are we talking about Grindr and coming for your children? By the way, in this line here, we'll convert your children, reaching one and all. There's really no escaping it. Even grandma likes RuPaul.
Everyone likes
RuPaul. The world's getting kinder. Gen Z's gayer than Grindr. Learn to love, learn to vogue, face your fate. We'll convert your children. Someone's going to teach them not to hate. We're coming for them. We're coming for your children, etc., etc.
This reads like a Disney villains song, by the way.
It's sung kind of like one. Your children will care about fairness and justice for others. Okay, my children or my daughter, and eventually when she's cognitive enough to be able to care about these things, I'm sure most certainly will care about justice.
Most people care about justice and fairness for others.
Just because justice and fairness is your goal doesn't mean that,
being a weird sex pest.
Yeah,
or sex weirdo.
Being a degenerate pedo homo in the streets, whatever you want to call it.
Like, I'll tell you this, again, going off on a quick aside. So where I went to high school in Baltimore, I went to the Baltimore School for the Arts. Well, I would say about half my class was gay because it was an art school. What the hell do you expect? You're either gay or you're Hitler. Oh no, that explains me. Sorry. So
you're gay Hitler, Aydin?
Yeah, gay Hitler, I guess.
Okay.
But oh no, am I both? But anyway, so right down the street from where I went to high school, like literally 3 blocks away, is where the Baltimore Pride Parade would be held every year, and they moved the venue a little bit, but it was always within walking distance of my high school. And it was the first year I went, I was probably 14. And at that point in time, I was like, I don't know. At 14, I didn't even know anything about sexuality. I had no interest in anyone. I had no sexual. I was a late bloomer. Okay. I was like, but I remember being like 14 and going to Pride in Baltimore, and it was like gay men in rainbow Speedos with dildos attached to them, humping on a stage. And I went with my friends, and I was like, am I supposed to be proud of this? Even as someone who was figuring out that they weren't fully straight. And by the way, I think most women are a little bit bi. That's kind of my
that's my experience. I mean, with most women.
Yeah, I think most women are a little bit bi.
They're suggesting it's like 80% of women in there.
Yeah, that's what I think. So that's why I'm not like bi pride, because I think most women are bi. So I don't like do pride shit about that. But figuring out like, I can like women too if I like their personality or whatever, or if I find them attractive. And at that time, the first person I'd ever been attracted to when I was like 15 or 14 was a girl, but it was like a very platonic let's hold hands in class kind of relationship, right? That kind of gay shit, to put literally and figuratively. But when I went to this, it was like, oh, is being gay about being half naked on stage with a giant dildo attached to you and shaking around and undulating with a bunch of feathers? And I was like, I don't want to be associated with this because this is really weird. It made me feel very uncomfortable. And now there's like, have you seen these like posts on Twitter? You probably have some of them where these women are like, I bring my little children to Pride and I want them to see the gay men undulating on stage.
Not Twitter, because I don't really use Twitter much, but I definitely have watched, people like Fleckus or Elijah Schaefer, Man on the Street stuff.
I love Fleckus.
Yeah, Fleckus just did this in New York right around Pride, and people were saying, "Oh no, I think it's great that we expose our kids." You're sexualizing your children, you freaking idiot.
Your kids. Okay, if Pride was really just like a parade, like a street parade, it was just a street parade where people had rainbow flags and they walk around, they sell snow cones or whatever. I hate the fact that I use snow cones, and you probably know why. It's a snowball. But if they're walking around selling snowballs and and I don't know, beef on a stick, which probably has its own sexuality. Actually, snowball and beef on a stick, that probably has some sexuality connotations in a Freudian sense. But if that's just what you're doing, that's great. If it's a street festival, fine, absolutely great. But that's not what it is. It's people walking around in fetish gear, highly sexualized. And you fought for years to say that this was not a kink, that this was not a fetish. It was you can't help it. But then why do you always display it as a freaking fetish? It's not helping gay people if it's not a fetish for you to act like it's a fetish.
Right. Yeah.
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
I had a video I opted out of showing during Pride Month on the Unjustify the Memes because I would do a section of some of the Pride stuff, some of the more disgusting stuff. And it was actually
it's awful.
It was a gif of a guy picking up his skirt. He was dressed in drag, and there's our prosthetic, penis there, and it squirts at people, and there are children in the crowd.
Oh God!
I didn't show it because I thought maybe that's over the line. I shouldn't do that. Put it on.
But they showed it to kids. They did it to kids.
I know. But my point is exactly.
I'm gonna have an aneurysm. Oh my God! Sorry.
Here's the song, and the song's a little edited, so you'll see.
Oh, we're gonna listen to it.
We're coming for your children. We're coming for your children. We're coming for your children.
That's all. I can play the whole thing, but that shows that there are numerous pedophiles involved in this.
Well, okay. Can I steel man it a little bit? Provide the. There have been some people who said that you couldn't prove definitively these were the same people because they had very typical names like Raul Luis or something like that. I didn't see the names on the screen, but they were like not weird names. They were not obscure names that would make them easily identifiable. I think it's full of pedophiles. Trust me. I'm not I'm not denying that. But I would say that was the counter argument that's like, oh no, it wasn't really these people that they were misidentifying them. However, I'm not at all shocked by that. And San Francisco Gay Men's Choir, why would you say? Why? Why would you make a song? Why? Just why would you do it? Keith Pepper? That's a bit of a unique name. I guess Pepper.
That's what I'm saying.
Luis Quadra. I mean, I don't know.
These are the screenshots of what I have. And this is all public information, guys. It's not like I'm.
No, I know you're not. That's the thing. But I know I saw some people saying like, some of these names are very.
David Diaz.
That's a very common name. Tim Jackson. Those are very common names. So I don't know. I don't doubt it. By the way, personally. But I'm just there's the counterpoint. There's the counter narrative just to be fair.
What's this? I can't quite read.
But that's a long ass name. Raymond Mark Gonzalez. Gonzalez. Okay. So I'm looking at it through like two screens. So that's something with a G. David Lowe. That's a very. Isn't that guy from the Home Improvement channel? It's not him, obviously, but Uh,
I don't know, but here's the
something
thing.
low.
Here's the thing. This is obvious.
Oh,
I'll zoom in
that's
on that.
him though. Oh, that looks like him.
Right.
Ooh.
See,
I mean, if you have pictures that line up, that's what I mean, then that's fine. Lewd or lascivious acts of the child under 14.
that's what I'm saying.
Holy
Again, I'm
shit.
not saying it's right to a 14-year-old or anything like that. I'd
That
still
looks like
probably,
him though.
I'd probably slap the guy, punch him in the face, whatever. But
He was in jail for only 4 years for it. Wow.
you would be surprised, Aiden.
I
I used to
know.
work with guys that would offend over and over and annually
So
and be
stressful.
released. And the reason why they would be released and the judges would not keep them in jail is because despite them raping young boys, is because they were mentally handicapped. They had an IQ of 85 or 80 or something.
Okay.
But they
That
understood
makes
what
it
they were
better.
doing. And then if you talk to
Then
them, they would
why-
laugh about it. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm never going to get in trouble because I'm special." Blah blah blah.
And we put Britney Spears into a conservatorship. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, I think my quick aside on Britney Spears, she probably should be. She seems mentally unwell. But what
Not in the way that she is.
she isn't.
The conservatorship cannot be the way that it is what I'm saying.
No, the conservatorship's fucked. Like that's complete
Right.
bullshit. But my point is that like we let Britney Spears be put in this conservatorship where her parents allow her to go on tour, force her to go on tour, and yet we let these kinds of people back out into the general public because they have an IQ under 100. Is that what I'm understanding here? Because that's fucking bullshit. Sorry, my blood pressure's getting up now, dude. Holy fuck.
People don't have any idea. I'm telling you right now, like those things, you have no clue how ridiculous it is. Pedophiles do not get much jail time, especially if they are in any way, shape, or form mentally handicapped. If however you want to phrase it, if they're mentally retarded,
okay,
they
I
will
don't
get
care.
kid gloves. I knew a specific guy. I'm not going to mention his name, but a specific guy that did this for years, off and on, and then they finally gave him a few years. I think 5 years and state.
No,
prison for it.
you touch a kid, you're fucking done. You're over.
Well, in my society.
Yeah, in my society, at best, chemical castration. At worst, a hell of a lot worse. I won't go into specifics, but
right.
chemical castration is the first thing. They don't do that to any of these people, which is that because that's considered inhumane. But this stuff really gets me riled up. Sorry. Oh, it really raises.
Well, I mean,
my blood
it
pressure.
is inhumane if you're a competent person or if you believe in redemption. But at some point, people
a
prove
couple of
themselves.
years, like chemical castration is not permanent, by the way. I mean, unless you actually cut the balls off. Chemical castration is what I was saying.
Okay.
You put them on stuff to try and see if you can get that weird. I actually, I don't know if they've touched a child. I think that's, I don't know. I think consider that's like murder. I think there's no coming back from that.
Here's another one you're really gonna love, Aiden. So from the queer health educators from the Children's Hospital in LA put out this explicit sex pamphlet for youth. And
I've seen this actually. This is a couple of years old, isn't it? Or is this new? They've put out shit like this for years.
I saw Elijah Schaefer covering it. Thought I'd bring it into this. These are all blurred images, but
and who is this for? Wait, what age group?
Supposedly this is for teens, but it's
why is it? Can I ask why it's all interracial?
Because they got to be woke.
I guess so.
This was from June 19th. It wasn't that long ago.
I mean, I'm not saying there's an agenda, but why is it all interracial?
Oh, there's an agenda. Come on.
Look
at this.
Wait, it's all interracial. It's all
Stick a carrot in your butt.
What?
Yeah. Did you see the Patrick Swayze?
No, oh yeah, I'm seeing it here. Oh my god. Oh no, dude. Bro. Ew.
Yeah. Well, this is what I said.
Happy
People
Pride.
need to wake the hell up. So you can go right here to this, the playbook.
This can't be real. That's how I felt. Brood Xenial Corpse of Colossa. I agree. This can't be real. Please. Christ.
Yeah. This is the actual website. So the playbook at juannoen.com. It will show you the full uncensored pictures, which I'm not going to play here.
Oh, hell no. You're going to get banned just for posting the censored ones.
Right. So let's see. Let me get the other one up.
Oh,
Sorry, I feel like I'm stressing you out there, Aiden.
I just can't believe they're teaching this to kids.
I can, but you remember the gingerbread man and the
Oh,
gender
I
unicorn?
know the genderbread man or whatever.
You don't
Oh
want to know?
no, I remember it. I remember the genderbread man.
I figured, but I'm
Jesus,
just saying, it's all the same.
Jesus
That
Christos
was four.
Pantocrator, fucking save us from this.
That was 4 years ago with the gingerbread
Oh my
man.
God, the genderbread man was 4. I'm so old.
Yeah, I do have that in the show
Fuck
notes too. I can
me.
bring that up. That's not a hard thing to do. Um,
Why?
one of the
Why?
interesting things was where I
Why
got
are
one of
they?
these was from
Why are they showing this shit to kids? Why?
court
I
document.
want a fucking explanation. Why are you fucking doing this? Why are you showing this shit to kids? Why? I wish one person in the LGBT community, I guess, which I myself am a part of, along with most women, as being bisexual, but I actually have been in relationships with women. So I'm wondering, why the fuck are you showing this to kids? I don't get it. Explain it to me, please. Why do children have to know this shit? No one has been able to explain it in any way that doesn't sound like fucking pederasty to me.
Well, that's all it is. That's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. I mean, you just nailed it on the head there. There is nothing else to it. It's that, and it's something like, instead of our society being strong and masculine and able to protect itself and to go forth and create, what we have to do is shield everybody, infantilize
Oh,
everybody.
you want to make men weak too. That's a big part of it.
Yes, yes. And so when you are raping these young boys, basically, when you're molesting them, you've totally screwed them up for the rest of their lives. And we know this if you look
yeah.
at historically.
But not just historically, the current data shows that if people who have been molested as children, they never get over it. I mean, they can become they can get over it because people can be resilient. They can. Like, it's not a prescriptive in that, yes, people can be strong. They can't get over it. That's not the right way to say it. They can overcome it. Okay. They're never going to get over it. They can overcome some of those issues, but they will never get over it. That's a lifelong scar that you've placed on them by abusing a child. Fuck people who do that. Oh, this gender unicorn. Fuck. Oh my God. I'm getting fucking triggered. Sorry.
Well, we don't need all that there, Aiden. I just want to remind folks that these things,
they've been doing this shit for years.
Right.
And they've specifically targeted children, which I don't understand. Sexuality is not something that you don't become sexual until, you're some people are a little bit earlier than others, but 13, 15, 16, 14, 15, 16. Like, I mean, 16's about, I don't even think you should talk about this to 16. Talking about sex to 16-year-olds in a very clinical setting, or even talking about how there's sexual dimorphism to children is okay if it's in a very clinical and educational setting. That's fine. But these should be in educational settings, not in like, here's how you put a dildo up your butt. That kind of stuff's bizarre.
It is bizarre. Well, here's the thing. This is 3-prong. The 3 prongs are as simple as this: the LGBT, the CRT, and then environmentalism. These are all the things that they care about to teach their children.
Yeah.
And it's all about unity and brainwashing. Part of this I talked about earlier, the Platonic kind of ideals of this go back to how Plato didn't think that there was really any real difference between men and women, other than just some minor differences in height and some strength and all. And that's just not true. I mean, men and women are very similar, but we are grossly different.
We're very different.
Yeah. But also with that, he wanted to have a society that was sexually liberated, where anyone could sleep with anybody and they would purposely breed just to have children, and it would only be the elite classes. Very reminiscent of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, right?
Yeah.
So everyone's a degenerate. No one's worried about anything. And in Aldous Huxley's A Brave New World, it was always about pleasure, right? And the soma.
That's what this is about. It's soma. Yes. Soma. Yeah. Everything in modern society. Huxley called it, didn't he? Huxley called it maybe more than Orwell did.
Yeah, underrated a little bit.
Only because Orwell gets overquoted, I think, because 1984 is such a overt totalitarian example. But yeah, Huxley's Soma idea, yeah, it's everything right now in modern society is about pleasure, instantaneous pleasure. Press the pleasure button. I did a video about this not too long ago. I don't even remember what it was about actually now, but I was talking about like this idea of pressing the pleasure button. Because we actually have we conducted this experiment in mice, right, where mice could press this button to they put an electrode inside the brain of the mouse, and the mouse could press a button to inject itself with pleasure, and it ended up that the mouse would just sit there and press the button all day, every day. They stopped eating, they stopped drinking, they stopped having sex, they stopped doing everything just to press the pleasure button.
Yep.
And when we've conducted similar experiments in humans, we found the same thing. They stopped doing everything.
What do you think living in an apartment is? You're in your little pod. You have your little pleasure box on the TV, porn, whatever. You don't need to go out. The virginity rate skyrocketing amongst men.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The amount of men who are I mean, like, okay, so maybe in like a more okay. So in a very early human society, we might have seen something similar to what we see today, where we have the top 10% of males get 90% of the females, right? Because they're just seeking to reproduce as much as possible. And we have a capacity within society now where the state will take care of you. You don't need a father. The state will be daddy, so they can go do that. And so they can just all seek out this top male.
Well, you know, the
There's
Gini
no father
coefficient.
figures.
The Gini coefficient relates not just to economics, but also to men not getting women.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's going to be a big problem when everyone's disenfranchised, not having any sex. And you have guys like, no, I was never the top, but you have guys like me who were with a lot of women for a long time. You're just not, it's not going to make anyone else happy. And and this is a big deal to me because I have had so many friends. I would try to tell them, I'm like, dude, all you need to do is learn a few things about women, you know, and get out and practice, and you'll be dating just fine. And these guys are sitting in their rooms, bored to death, can't go get a girl, intimidated, think that there's no hope for them in life. And it's really, really heartbreaking. You know?
Well, I really, you know, I've worked with I haven't been on stream with them for a while, but I've worked with the honey badgers for years, and I consider myself a men's rights activist or advocate. Not an activist. That's not how I describe myself. An advocate, though, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely an advocate for men's rights, and men's rights are severely lacking in modern society because, first of all, men have no sexual rights right now in Western society. None. Not any
reproductive rights for sure.
No, men have no reproductive rights.
That got custody of my daughter after I got divorced, but that's just because my ex-wife is so terrible that the courts could see it. You know.
Well, but that's a very, very rare. It's a very, very rare decision for the court.
I actually know two other guys, and I worked with them, but maybe because we all worked at the sheriff's department, that was part of it. I don't know.
Maybe, but it's extremely rare, and that was one of the things that made me interested in men's rights, and men really don't have rights. They certainly don't have reproductive rights, and they're losing their rights more and more and more in this degenerate society in a way that makes it so. Of course, men don't. Well, first of all, they don't have sex because it's become this elitist kind of thing, where women are gatekeeping sex because women don't want to. They don't want to have families. They don't want to settle down. They want to maybe have kids, but they don't want to have a family because the government will take care of them.
Right.
Their OnlyFans will take care of them. You know what I mean?
Well, they think that they can just get a man. They can demand any type of man.
You can find one later.
Exist. You know, Fresh and Fit were over on Tim Pool the other day. I think Tuesday.
Oh yeah, they were great.
They
rumbled Tim. It was awesome.
I loved it.
I loved it.
That's stuff I don't talk about often or much, but it's stuff I like to throw in there every now and again because I used to study game and I used to practice it until I got kind of my head straight about that stuff because I was miserable doing it.
I will say that shit doesn't work on me because I'm a weird autist, but like I know that it works on most women. It absolutely does.
Women are all about the emotions, the good time, the security, and all that comes later. In a date, you want them to have fun. That's the bottom line.
I mean, I met my husband from playing Dungeons and Dragons, so I mean, like, what does that mean? Like,
Well, Aiden, I need to take a quick bathroom break. We're
go
getting
ahead.
toward the end of the show. I'll probably cut out here at the 3-hour mark, but
Yeah,
I do want to play this video for you. I want you to tell
go
me what
ahead.
you think about it once it's over, because it's interesting. I caught this
Heck
the other
yeah.
day. All right. This is from
Heck yeah.
1989.
Oh, wow.
On
President
October
Ford.
18th, 1989, in West Branch,
My
Iowa,
ancestor.
Gerald Ford, the 38th President of the United States, shared history with students from across Iowa.
We're actually
The
not
visit
related,
was
chat.
part of a conference on the role of former
Different
presidents
Ford
in
line.
American society, sponsored by the Herbert Hoover Library and Museum and the Gerald Ford Library and Museum. Here's how these students took advantage of a rare learning opportunity.
Thank you very, very much. It's a very high honor and a very great privilege for me to come to West Branch and to participate in this conference, which is being held here at the Hoover facilities.
Mr. Ford, what advice would you give a young lady wanting to become President of the United States?
Fuck off.
Well, I hope we do have a young lady at some point become President of the United States. I can tell you how I think it will happen, because it won't happen
Oh, Gerald. What's your...
in the normal course of events. Either
Oh.
the Republican or Democrat political party will nominate a man for president and a woman for vice president. And the woman and man will win. So you'll end up with a president, a male, and a vice president, a female.
Never mind, my
And
ancestor.
in that term of office of the president will die. And the woman will become president under the law or Constitution. And once that barrier is broken, from then on, men better be careful.
Oh,
because they'll have a hard time ever even getting a nomination in the future. But that's the way it's going to happen, and I think it'll probably come sometime in the next 4 or 8 years.
Wow,
So we're going to get a male president, a female vice president. The male president's going to die, and then afterwards, we'll never have a male president again, according to Jerry Ford.
Oh, Jerry got it. I was gonna say, he's not my ancestor, but then I claimed, oh, my ancestor. I'm actually related to Henry Ford, not Gerald, but the former is way more problematic. So don't bring that one up. Whatever. That was astonishing. Ford isn't a well liked president, generally speaking, but in terms of he's a bit mixed in people's perceptions of him. But that was a good one.
Yeah, I feel like as far as his presidency, I mean, he fell into it, and people
he didn't have any choice, really.
Yeah, and none of like the policies that were implemented before him were because of him.
Weird how he would have that perspective then.
What's that?
Interesting how he would have that perspective then.
Well, he's within the system.
No, his perspective that it would be a male dying and making the female president.
Well,
or a male becoming an invalid.
Look, right.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they couldn't put in Kamala. Kamala got no votes. So
no,
why
she
would
was
Jerry
like
Ford know this? Well, Jerry Ford sat around with all the globalists back in the day in the Nixon administration. You know, yeah, guys like Henry Kissinger.
Yeah.
Who's still in the government, apparently.
So they sent him the plans, you think?
I'm just saying that, I mean, you know, the comments started saying tinfoil hat time. I'm just like, yeah, I mean.
I don't know if it's a tinfoil hat or just predictive. Look, just because you predict something doesn't mean it's a tinfoil.
Well, but it might be something where people have talked behind the scenes. Well, this is how we're going to have this happen.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, okay. From an outsider, non-tinfoil perspective, Hillary was unelectable. She was a hateable person.
Yet people I know who were just
voted for her.
Democrats were like, I love her so much.
Did you though? It was always very farcical. It was like she was such a detestable human. Actually, it was really funny. I went back the other day. I was watching because for a video I'm doing, I was watching some really old SNL clips, and they have Hillary talking to Bill in SNL, and she's like ruling over Bill, and she's like in charge, and she's a miserable bitch. It's I think it's Bill Clinton talking to Bush, and Hillary's in the background, and she's running the show, and it's very clear. And it's like we were making fun of this in 1996. You know what I mean? Like we were mocking how Hillary was this weird, manipulative puppet master. No one has ever liked her in her entire public appearance.
Right, but Americans, well, her Westerners in general, have short memories about public.
Yeah, I know.
It was very institutions and individuals. So
it was so odd to find an SNL skit that was making fun of Hillary Clinton from the 90s, though. I'd have to find it, but it was fascinating to watch in retrospect.
No, I mean, I've heard the same thing. My mom worked for AT&T for many, many years, AT&T corporate, and worked with the government directly. And she's known people that have been around Hillary, apparently, and they've all spoke very poorly of her, that she's just a terrible witch, always demanding, very short with folks. I mean, does anyone expect anything different?
No, my dad worked in DC for a bit, and he never heard anything positive about her while he worked there. I mean, my dad worked as an aide for Ron Paul, so.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, he worked for the Social Security Administration, but he worked with Dr. Paul for a little bit, and I don't have, I mean, I have crowning achievements in my life, like, you know, getting a graduate degree and stuff like that. It's kind of worthless. But one of my personal crowning achievement is my dad. Well, I was 18 years old, and my dad went up to Dr. Paul and said, Dr. Paul, my daughter just turned 18 years old. She's written your name in for the presidential election. And he had this huge smile on his face. And that just knowledge makes me happier than anything else.
That's a weird connection there, because I don't know Ron's personally. My wife has met him a couple times.
Oh, I've met him briefly. Right. He's wonderful.
Well, I'm sure he is. My wife and I are friends with one of his grandsons, though. So, so there's just a weird connection between your father and him, and whatever else. You know, that's an interesting thing.
Whole what's 10 degrees of separation? 10 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. It really is a thing. So, anyways, I got another super chat I didn't get to yet. I just wanted to read off. It's hashtag stop gay oppression of the Irish. Hashtag give us back our rainbows. Hashtag not my pot of gold from Sam.
Oh, up the raw. No one heard that. Sorry. Whoops.
Oh, it didn't go through?
No, just saying. No one heard me say, "Oh, up the raw."
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it.
Yiz says, I have to go soon. Much love. Well, thank you, Yiz. Yeah, this isn't exactly the way I expected the stream to go. We didn't talk about CRT actually that much, but it's okay. I don't know, Aydin.
Bring me on to talk about CRT anytime. I got all these fucking citations here, and every time I try to talk to somebody about them, they always go, like, that's not real CRT. So, I mean, I'm willing to talk to anyone about it anytime, but the problem is that when you try to have discourse with someone who is an actual CRT, quote unquote, scholar, they go, that's not real CRT. I'm like, well, what about this one? That's not real CRT. What about this one? That's not real CRT. What about this one? That's not real CRT. It is this constantly moving barometer where you can't nail them down, and that's because it's a subjectivist theory.
Right. Well, that's right, and that's also why, like I said, we'll be talking next week with Christian Watson. He'll get into the epistemology of it, and it fails on its face just from that. But yeah, I mean, whether we got into the weeds of it or not, it was a good conversation. I enjoyed the stream. But yeah, I would agree with you. And I like I said, I think the simple, easiest way to tackle that kind of argument is just tell people you're making a genetic fallacy. Like, if you want to say that CRT from the 70s when it started versus today are different things, you can say that, but you can't say that what's today is not CRT either. It is. It's something that they've taken from the old scholarship and morphed it into the new. Well, perhaps you can fill some more in on that, Aydin.
Real quick, here's the divergence, right? They will say that what they teach in schools, in colleges, in colleges that might be CRT based on whether or not they have decided post hoc, post facto that they decide that is CRT, even if it was literally called a critical race theory class. Doesn't matter. They can change their minds. But if you have gone through, so by the way, also on that note, real quick, a lot of pedagogical course requirements to get a teaching degree right now. I can't remember what university I look at. Hang on, I found a university. It was like a major university that required I can't find it right now, but there was several universities that required that. Teachers are required to take these CRT classes in order to get a degree. Oh, here we go. Okay. King and Butler 2015 argued that teachers it was based on something else I was talking about. But these researchers examined 14 institutions that trained educators and found that 4 of the 14 institutions required their students' coursework be comprised by 20% or more of classes focusing on diversity, including one school where 36% of courses required to become a teacher. This is a primary or secondary education teacher, not a professor.
Did you say 36 or 46?
36. Sorry.
36. Okay.
This is one particular school, but look to King and Butler 2015. 36% of courses required to become a teacher were concerned with multiculturalism and critical race theory. The authors declare that, quote, any program which allows its students to receive a teaching degree having taken less than 100% of their required courses in a class with a clearly defined multicultural component is a disservice to pre-service teachers and a disservice to the group of students that they will inevitably serve. Only 2 programs out of 42 across 14 institutions did not require their student teachers to take at least one course on diversity and inclusion. That's in 2015. Indicating, 20% of the coursework for teachers learning how to teach is CRT scholarship.
Well, that just goes to prove exactly what I always say, that everyone knows or feels, is that the institutions are utterly corrupt. This is all coming from the top down. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
The ivory tower is completely ebony, and I don't mean that in a racial way. It's no, I don't mean that in a racial way. I mean, like it's been blackened by corruption.
Right. No, and
It's unfortunate that it has a racial connotation. That's not my point, but
well, I haven't. Oh, whatever. You're too conscious. I didn't even care. I could give.
Well, I think people know what I would mean.
I don't even care what accusations people throw at me. I just be like, you're stupid. Whatever. Time to move on. But I'm a dude too, so we
the ivory tower has been corrupted, I would say. This is what they teach pre-service teachers. That is, teachers who are going to teach.
I've yet to do it, but I've been wanting to do a stream at some point or a video on the active measures that the Soviets put into place, because that's a lot of where this has come from. Now, the communists were in America long before that. You can go read like something like Manning Johnson's Race, Color, and Communism.
Communism goes back a long time.
Yeah, it goes way before that to the play The Melting Pot, and that's where we get that idea today. You know, most people don't even know that the idea of the living constitution, as they like to teach, didn't even exist until like I think the 1930s.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't believe so much in that living constitution thing. I think that the founders were very, very clear and specific in their language. Just saying. Right. Now, your interpretations can be more modernistic, but the Constitution was set in stone. So deal with it.
Absolutely. But I mean, I'm saying I'll
shall not be infringed. How about that?
Right. I'll have these conversations with people I know or have known for a long time, like people from school, and I'll be like, "Oh no, I know you're a big fan of the living constitution idea," and they'll be like, "Heck yeah, I am," and I'll be like, "You know that idea didn't exist until 1930 something, right?" And they're like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But we've just completely destroyed our education system. Part of this is with with the Rockefellers, part of this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting tinfoil hat side things now, but still,
But people need to read the Articles of Confederacy. That needs to be taught in schools, along with the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Declaration of Independence is the Articles of the Confederacy. They need to learn that document because that is the most important document, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, we can get into the War of Northern Aggression too.
No. The Articles of the Confederation, like that. That's a very important.
The original, not
Confederacy. Articles of the Federation. Sorry.
Well, they're basically the same. You know that, right? Like,
yeah,
the Confederate States basically took the Articles of Confederation and made up.
Yeah, that's an extremely important document for people to read to understand the founding principles of the United States and its libertarian principles. Please read that document if people haven't. It's not that long. I remember Dennis Kucinich used to brag about how he kept around a little copy of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. He should have kept that document as well, even though Dennis Kucinich was a socialist, but whatever, is a socialist. That's why I actually did vote for him.
He was one of the better Congress people, though. I mean, he really was.
He actually seemed to care about people. It's why I like Dennis Kucinich.
Yeah.
That's why I voted for him in the primaries. And that's in 2008. But or was it 2016? I think it was the first time I could vote it was 2016.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I could vote, even though I was in 18, I could vote in the primaries, I think. Or I'm getting confused. I don't fucking know. I'm old. Must have been 2018. I don't know. Whatever. I voted for Ron Paul for president.
For Obama running. Yes.
Yeah, I voted for Kucinich in the primaries, Ron Paul in the general election, and then I voted for Goofy Gary Johnson in 2012 because I didn't give a fuck. But
I wrote in Ron Paul's name both times, and then in 2016 I didn't vote for at all. And normally I at least vote for local elections.
I voted for Trump. I really like Donald Trump.
No, I'm more of a fan now. I just wasn't sure of him in the beginning.
Oh, I loved him. Oh, I was totally in love with him in 2016. Like, not like him as I didn't want to like bang him or whatever, but I was in love with everything he was saying. It was so pro-America, and I am so pro-America. I love this country so much, so I love the things he was saying, and they weren't like the platitudes that normal politicians have, like, oh yeah, this country is great or whatever. It's like, no, he was like. And he's representation of why the country is great because he became a billionaire off of it. That's why I loved Trump.
Right. I think for me, that when he ran his first run, I thought he was saying a lot of good stuff and this had a lot of potential. But for me, it was a lot of people do exactly this. Look at Barack Obama as a perfect example of this.
Oh, well, yeah,
and then turn around and do something completely opposite. Right. So
hope.
Yeah.
Hope. Yeah. Hope's a great thing, Obama. What the fuck does that mean?
Cope and change, because that's all you're getting in your paycheck, some change.
I fucking remember when I was on my college campus. I'll hang up real quick here, but I know we're finishing up. But I was on my college campus. I was the last college libertarian. My college libertarian group closed after the 2008 election, and I was the last college libertarian. And I went around writing Ron Paul on like the chalk on the sidewalks and stuff, and I put up these stupid little Ron Paul like door hangers. And one time somebody got mad at me, actually. I put up this little like hanger, like these door hangers on people's dorm rooms, and it was like, have you considered a third option? And I just left it. Someone walked out. This is back in 2008. Someone walked out and said, if you put this up, someone might not vote for the first black president, you racist. And it's like, what? That's been 12 years ago. I didn't even understand the cultural divide that was happening at that point. I just liked Ron Paul's ideas. But even back then, someone was so upset at the idea that I would say, like, hey, you don't have to vote for either one of these dicks that want to bomb Afghanistan. You could vote for this other guy. And they were furious by it.
I was a couple years out of the military, and I was a bit disenfranchised and whatever else. And I would argue with one of my best friends all the time because he was always coming from a more progressive socialist perspective, but he didn't know as much. And then a friend of his introduced us to Ron Paul. We both read The Revolution and started studying things, and he
fascinating. Yeah.
And my buddy became a libertarian, and so did I. Basically, we were part of Campaign for Liberty in Washington County, Maryland for a while. And so we were pretty on fire for it. And then, life happens and stuff, and I got not
Well,
apolitical.
the re-love-lution Ron Paul's thing kind of fell apart, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
Well,
not
it's
enough-
because you know why, Aiden? Because the Tea Party.
I'll tell you why. Libertarians are free thinkers, and there's not enough people who are free thinkers. It's just impossible to get enough of the population who won't be tribalistic.
Yeah, but okay. So Ron Paul libertarianism is coming back now in the Mises Caucus and the Libertarian Party, and they're doing pretty well, even though there's a divide.
Is the Mises Caucus doing okay?
From what I understand, it's doing okay. Although
I haven't paid attention. My bad.
Well,
It's
the
great.
Libertarian Party did do some stuff in New Hampshire. I'm sure you heard about that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I haven't paid attention to that lately, but you know, I just had a baby and stuff. So
right, I heard about that, but I didn't follow it. Well,
but
I'm a big fan of Mises and Rothbard and all the libertarian founders.
Right.
I'm surprised that that's still working.
I'm not a big fan of Rothbard, but only because
Rothbard's got some contentious ideas. To be fair,
not only that, but his anarcho-capitalism doesn't make any sense to me from an atheistic perspective. I don't understand how you like. I can understand it from a religious perspective, like someone who has a religious mind.
Hoppe?
But yeah,
how about Hoppe? What's your opinion on Hoppe, real quick?
Yeah.
Like him or not?
Hoppe?
Yeah, Hans Hermann Hoppe.
Hans Hermann Hoppe. I haven't read enough of him. I've only heard
check him out, dude.
Yeah. No, I have a couple. I really like Mises. I have some of Rothbard. I mean, I like Hayek and stuff.
Yes, Hayek. Yes.
I haven't read economics though in quite a long time. It's probably been
you got to read
years.
basic economics. I read it almost every year. I reread basic economics almost every year.
No
I have since like 2016. I have, yeah.
My daughter was hanging out. My parents were over to see the baby and all. My daughter was hanging out, and we were talking about economics or something. I mentioned human action or something. I gave her a copy and she goes, human action. I'm like, well, this is Ludwig von Mises treatise on economics. And I said, this is basically what economics is. And I said, there's also this from the Chicago school from Thomas Sowell. Now the Chicago school is not as good as the Austrians, but they're decent.
Now you got to read Sewell. He's great.
As soon as she looked, she goes, Dad, can I borrow this? And I was like, sure. So
he's easy to read, actually. Basic economics is actually an easy to read. That's why I read it like once a year, because it's just like, I don't read the whole thing fully. I skim it. Like, remind me, Sewell, about how shit works.
But anyways, to your point, you were talking about Ron Paul and the libertarian movement and all that. I don't think it was the libertarians' fault. I think what happened was the Tea Party movement started, and then the rhinos and the neocons took that over, and the mainstream media destroyed it because that came out of the Ron Paul revolution. It very much did. I was on the ground floor with all that,
as was I, and that was like a big 4chan thing, actually, in a lot of ways. Much as the Trump movement was, is that it was like, if you want to call it, weirdos would say dark web, but really it's just like normal web that's slightly unusual. We're very big fans of Ron Paul, and they were very involved in the Tea Party movement, and we just didn't have the people at that point. We didn't have enough people to move that at that point. Well,
it's the same thing. You know, I've been watching Tim talk about this lately in Occupy Wall Street, and I forget who said it the other day, but they're like, if there were actually good conservatives down there during Occupy Wall Street, the movement
it would have changed a whole generation of people if there were actually conservatives out there being like, screw these Wall Street bankers, because they were stealing money from the American people. But there weren't good conservatives out there making those kinds of arguments. They were being rhinos and sitting in their fucking comfy offices and not saying anything about Occupy.
Right. And most of us liberty-minded people, always say, have we have many of the same rights that the left does. The difference is
absolutely. We don't like those in power.
Right. But we don't want to basically enrich the power structure even more.
That's what the left seems to want to do for whatever. I don't think they want to, but it's what they're doing inadvertently.
Well, it's all they know how to do, because that's what leftism is. Leftism is always revolutionary authoritarianism.
Yes, it is, but it's authoritarianism based on popular belief. So you get all the people to support this thing that is actually against their best interest, and they go along with it because they've been told to believe as much. And I don't think it makes them stupid. I just think that they've been misled, I think.
Yeah. When folks say, I don't really get the left-right divide anymore, I don't understand that. It's not correct terminology. I sort of agree with you when they say that, but the bottom line is the French Revolution, where it came from.
We're headed real fast towards it. I think France might have another revolution, by the way. It looks like that might happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we headed for
that's what we're talking about. Left-wingism
the fourth turning? Is that it? What Tim calls it, the fourth turning? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's left-wingism is revolution, the discarding, not reform, but the discarding of the establishment, right? Because just because you're a conservative doesn't mean that you like what's established. Because what's established could be corrupt.
I hate 90% of Republicans. I hate them. I truly fucking do. I despise them. They're all fucking awful. They're all in the pocket of big business. I despise that shit. That's not free market. Fuck off.
Right. Well, let's leave it there. That's a good way to end it.
Yeah, sorry. You were like, I'm going to keep you too long. Like, I'll keep you too long. Let me talk about how much I hate the corporate establishment Republicans.
Oh, I would chat with you for another 4 or 5 hours. It's just I got
you got a baby to take care of, dude. Mow your lawn, take care of your baby,
and I got to make dinner. So,
all right, have fun, my dude.
Yeah,
well, those aren't fun things for the most part, but have fun.
Yeah. I appreciate you being on, Aydin. I want to check, make sure that we don't have any other chats real quick before we jump out of here. Last one was from Sam. All right, guys. Well, thanks for showing up. As always, this has been the Ins Justify the Memes. No, that's the wrong show. I do that sometimes. My brain automatically wants to say that.
It's all good, dude.
Yeah. Well, I'm here on StreamYard, so it makes it even more difficult instead of OBS, looking at different screens. But anyways, this has been All Minus One, guys. You know me. I'm Bill. Aydin, you should know her. If you don't, her YouTube channel is linked in the description. And we'll have her back at some time in the future when she's available.
Yeah, real quick, just I will plug my next video. It won't be out for probably until next week, but it will be about the idea of voting and psychological reactions. Like, why did people vote for Joe Biden? That will be the context of the video. And not only why did they, but are they regretting their vote? Because some new information has come out that found that, for example, the Trafalgar Group found that only a third of Democrats think Joe Biden is actually doing his job, and it's not someone else running the show for him.
Well, that's not surprising, right?
Yeah, it's a bit scary, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, guys, go check Aydin's stuff out. It's great work, and she'll tell you the videos are long, but I make long videos too, so no big deal.
Thanks, man. Always good to talk to you, and congratulations.
Yep. Thank you. Well, next week I will have Christian Watson on. You guys can go check his channel out if you don't know him. He was actually streaming when we started, but he should be on. He said tentatively, but Lord willing, it'll all work out with that, guys. This has been All Minus One. My name is Bill, and I wish you all well.